Yo, Gamer Cat, what's up, man? Chilling, buddy. How are you? Hey, you doing good? Love to hear it, buddy. Love to hear it. How's my boy Rocky? Me? How's my boy? Oh, you just cuddling in. Oh, you're so cute, Rocky. You know that? You're so cute. You're so cute. You're so cute. You're so cute, Rocky. Oh yeah. Finished my last week of school, so I got school holidays for 7 weeks, bro. Holy shit. That's kind of crazy. 7 weeks. What the fuck? That's a long time. He's planning to kill my husband.
Quite frankly, it's hard to remember all those lines.
Usually it's 6,
Angelina,
but they had to
whose
push
husband,
back the
Jose
start of school.
Francisco, was found dead in their
Damn.
home just 5 months after they married. At first, Angelina seemed eager to help uncover the truth.
Damn, bruh. You lucked out.
But soon, her story shifted from grief to suspicion.
That's my boy, Rocky.
Anything. It could be the flowers on the road. It could be something.
Flowers on the road.
Yeah. You know, they grow in the middle of the highway. I think they're azaleas.
Angelina held something far more chilling than sorrow, a glimpse into a killer's mind. With one slip, she revealed a dark truth only the guilty could have known.
I would think so. People get poisoned by it all the time. It doesn't take much. If there was a tape recorder on, I'd be screwed if I keep answering these questions.
On Saturday, September 9th,
Hey.
2000, Angelina made a desperate call to the Montebello Police Department, urging them to come to her home at 800 block of Marconi Street in Montebello immediately. She had found 41-year-old Jose Francisco, also known as Frank, lying face down on the bedroom carpet.
When first responders got there, they found Frank in a terrible condition. There was blood coming out of his nose.
The officer who observed the scene noted there were no obvious signs of an unnatural death. Although there were small specks of blood at the scene, it wasn't enough to suggest foul play. An autopsy would be necessary to uncover what had led to Frank's sudden demise.
She explained to them that for the past few days, Frank was having severe stomach issues.
He was vomiting and suffering from diarrhea, and his condition had deteriorated rapidly a few days before his tragic death. Angelina stated that she had rushed him to the emergency room at Kaiser Hospital in Baldwin Park.
So I take him in and I said, he's sick. I don't know what it is. He can't stand, he can't talk. I said, he's throwing up.
Angelina told police that on Tuesday, September 5th, Frank was called back to Angel Gate Academy.
28 degrees
Frank was a special
Celsius.
education teacher
Yeah,
at Angel Gate
it's
Academy in
3 degrees
California.
Celsius here.
There, he worked with troubled 6th and 7th graders in a month-long training camp setting. This is where he met Angelina, a fellow educator. and
Yo,
a
that
single
shit
mother
looks
to
dope.
9-year-old
What do you
daughter.
mean?
The two eventually got married in April 2000.
What game is it?
Angelina
RuneScape?
explained
Yeah, this
that
is
Frank's
RuneScape.
visit to Angel Gate on September 5th was a last-minute request to act as a chaperone, so his name hadn't made the list of attending staff. Despite this, the day went smoothly.
I get back, I said, so how is everything there? They look great.
Old school RuneScape, yep.
They hugged me, they missed me, they felt like I was at home.
Doing some Wintertodt. I just got the fishing pet yesterday.
At first, it seemed like just
Finally got the
another
heron.
untimely natural death. But weeks later, Angelina revealed something darker.
We're here because we understand you have some information or believe there's a possibility that your husband was poisoned. Okay.
She told them that right after Frank got back from Angel Gate, he started to get sick.
It wasn't like a constant. It was like maybe once every half hour. He'd throw a little bit up, a little bit up.
So you feeling okay when you went up?
Oh, yeah. I even got up with him.
Did you tell him before he went?
Yeah, it's probably my favorite game right now.
Please don't
It's
tell
probably my favorite
Despite
game right
her
now,
attempts to
bestly.
stop him, he left
It,
for Angel Gate Academy, a choice that would become the greatest regret of his life.
I don't know. There's something
In her
about it,
mind,
bro. It's got some kind
someone
of
at the
charm to it, you
academy
know?
had poisoned him.
Somebody in the office and I'm like hungry.
There's a kind of charm to it.
Ever tell me who offered him a Gatorade Sunday?
Somebody in the office.
The graphics, I mean, you can get even better graphics than this. This is just more of like a
The food
polished
given to Frank
version.
was deliberately
Like,
laced
look.
with poison.
This is what the game
Poison wasn't the
originally
only
looks
thing
like
lurking
right
in
here.
Frank's past.
This is what the game really looks like.
It looked a little flushed, and I thought, well, okay, maybe he's tired. About 7:30, he started crying.
And this is what it
She
looks like.
accused Chad Holloway,
What's
Frank's
my
supervisor at
update?
Angel Gate, of spiking his snacks with a toxic
I
substance.
prefer the other one, yeah, for
When
sure.
asked
This one's
about
way
the
better.
reason, she explained that much of her
100%.
suspicion came because of an incident at Frank's job at Angel Gate Academy. Frank had left the position under complicated
This is how it
circumstances.
originally looked right
He also
here.
uncovered
Could you
disturbing
imagine playing
behavior
with
by
this shit?
Chad.
Oh my god, it's
Frank
fucking
and
terrible.
Angelina reported their suspicions, and it led to a
That's
wave
fucking
of
just terrible.
terminations and reassignments at the academy.
Once you see the reports that were filed, they were initiated for Frank and myself. That's how all of this started.
The school environment changed, and so did Frank and Angelina's lives, since the reports were dismissed by the board. Angelina was worried that Frank's whistleblowing had caused resentment toward him, and that it might follow them wherever they went.
And I was like, how can you just let him walk around here?
Angelina's claims took a darker turn when she recounted an ominous interaction between Chad and Frank.
This person had said, if anybody jeopardizes my job, I will kill them. He looked at Frank and he went like this, and he went right, dead on, eye to eye.
According to her, Chad made this chilling statement directly at Frank, adding to her
I
suspicion.
think I just filled the
While
top
talking
3
to
with
the
potions.
detectives, she also made
I think
a
I filled up the
request that
top
instruct
3,
them
the
to
top layer
remain
with 3
odd.
potions, and we just go from there. So what I'll
Angelina
do is
also
pick
reiterated
3
her
of
claim,
these.
urging officers to investigate Chad Holloway. She remained adamant that Frank had been poisoned at Angel Gate, while throwing suspicion
3
towards
of
Chad
them.
in particular.
Go over
Naturally,
here.
Chad, who was suspected of harming Frank at this
Hey,
point,
Rocky.
was questioned by the police.
I was under the impression, before they talked to me, that they were so convinced I did this, that they had stopped at the sheriff's department, had basically told them to prepare to book me.
They found that Chad was
Maybe.
upset about the accusations against him, but there was no proof that he had abused Frank or wanted to hurt him.
And it's also one of the worst things to be accused of if you didn't do it.
That was probably the...
So I'm gonna sit here for a while today. I'm just gonna build up some
Never
fucking
happened to me in life.
some points in
I've
here.
been to war. I was in Desert Storm. A lot of things happen in combat. I
Got
have
like
never in my life
couple thousand points or
been
some
that
shit.
scared. I can't even describe how angry I was.
However, investigators discovered that these accusations against Chad had already been thoroughly examined and proven to be baseless. A false accusation, even without proof, can destroy a life. For the police, this was strong enough reason to believe it could drive someone to murder.
Hey,
When you
babies.
said that you wanted to take a gun and put it to the head of the person who made those accusations against you, you didn't know it was Angelina you were talking about at the time.
I did not.
But once you found out it was Angelina who made those accusations, I'm guessing you probably thought about putting your gun to her head.
Chad admitted to seeing Frank looking sick 4 days before he died.
Hey, baby.
When was the last time you saw Frank?
I saw Frank the Tuesday after Labor Day 2000. Frank looked absolutely terrible.
Despite Angelina's persistent accusations, the police had no evidence to hold against Chad. But in a case like this, a lack of evidence didn't rule out guilt completely. Then came the breakthrough. Frank's toxicology report revealed fatal levels of ethylene glycol,
Ethylene
the deadly
glycol,
substance
damn.
found in antifreeze.
Frank's
Yep.
body actually had 6 times the necessary amount to kill him.
Angelina believed this evidence could finally bring justice, yet investigators pointed out a significant gap. They had no evidence that Chad knew Frank would be at Angel Gate on September 5th. Poisoning him required planning, and without proof that Chad anticipated Frank's visit, his defense might argue he couldn't have acted spur of the moment. Detectives now looked for more details.
I want to get like
and autopsy
100,000
results.
points here.
In the weeks leading up to Frank's death, even more unsettling details emerged, one of them being Angelina's behavior toward the situation.
She calls police almost on a daily basis. She wants to know what the latest is, if there's been any update.
Angelina's motives appeared disturbingly self-centered, sparking questions about whether her pursuit of justice was really a cover for something darker. Just days after his death, she called Detective Wilson to ask how the coroner would dispose of Frank's body. When the detective explained that the cause of death had not been determined, Angelina's response was chillingly emotionless. Soon, she started to make calls asking for frequent updates from the coroner's office.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Did you guys get anything at all from the coroner? No word from the coroner yet?
Well, they don't have anything yet. It takes time for this type of stuff.
Oh.
You know, unless they know what they're looking for.
We need a cause of death. And at this time, we're thinking that she knows what that cause of death is.
Both parties were desperate to uncover the cause of death, and now investigators played their cards cleverly, putting Angelina on the spot to see if she was hiding more than she let on.
It could be anything. It could be the flowers on the road. It could be something.
Flowers on the road.
Yeah.
Flowers on the road.
Those, heck are those? You know, they grow in the middle of the highway. I think they're azaleas.
At this point, we believe she knows exactly what it is. There's no doubt.
But she's trying to get you to say it.
She would rather, I think, have us say it. And of course, we'd rather have her say it.
To gather more information, the police turned their attention to Frank's family, hoping they could reveal crucial details.
She was claiming that one of his coworkers had put poison into his Gatorade. She's telling me this, someone's poisoned your brother's story. And I said to her, Angelina, I just don't understand this. You know, how does someone poison a person? She says, oh, there are lots of ways you could poison someone. She said, for instance, she says, we have a flower out here called oleander. She said, you can make a tea out of that. You can make a soup out of it. And, you know, it's a poison. When we were riding in the limousine, she pointed right out, says, those are oleander bushes.
His sisters Shirley and Rebecca had become suspicious,
Crazy.
fearing he'd been poisoned with oleander, and had taken their concerns to Sergeant Holmes. Detectives noted the theory, but faced a challenge. Oleander poisoning is rarely screened in standard tests. The detectives knew they were up against not only a potential killer, but a poison that could easily go undetected.
Any chance that this was going to turn out not to be a murder?
This bitch is crazy, bro. You gotta watch out, gentlemen.
Causes or food poisoning or something like that.
Absolutely. We were dependent upon what the coroner's office was doing, what they would find or wouldn't find. But in the meantime, you can't stop investigating.
With suspicions of foul play lingering, the family had urged authorities to look deeper. As detectives awaited the autopsy results on October 19th, more than a month after Frank's death, the investigation suddenly took an unexpected turn. Sergeant Holmes received a call from Angelina. She told him she had just received a disturbing call from an unknown person.
It was about maybe 5 or 10 after 8. Because I was on my way back from dropping my daughter off at school. I would get this call, and it was blocked. They said they wanted to tell me what was going on because they had a lot of respect for Frank, but they couldn't tell me who they were because they know how Holloway is. And they said, you need to know a conversation I had with Holloway. He had said, they do try and track it down. They can't pin me because, and they said, they can't pin me. Can't pin me. It started breaking up, and all I heard was, ask them about antifreeze.
Antifreeze, not oleander.
Not oleander this time.
Had antifreeze even been on your radar screen at this point?
At this point, no, I don't believe it had been.
This anonymous caller told her to tell them to look for antifreeze.
This is the first time that antifreeze has been mentioned to police, and it comes directly from Angelina.
Unsure who the caller was or how they obtained her number, Angelina shared this with the sergeant, prompting him to request a specific test for antifreeze poisoning. She also informed detectives that she had received the call at around 8 a.m.
You got her phone records.
I got her phone records, yes.
And?
Lo and behold, there had not been any calls anywhere near incoming or outgoing to Angelina's phone at that time.
Now, with the case gaining traction, investigators had to uncover the truth behind her disturbing actions. Then, the autopsy results came in, confirming all their darkest suspicions. The autopsy findings pointed to oleander poisoning, with traces of the deadly toxin found in Frank's system. On December 12th, detectives informed Angelina
the old narrator for this channel was way more engaging.
Frank's death. While
You guys sounds like a fucking robot.
From them, she received a call from Chad himself.
Angelina? Yes? Why did you tell the police that I poisoned Frank with antifreeze?
Who is this?
My main question, Angelina, is how
did you get my number?
Angelina, I'm just wondering how in the world this could ruin my life.
You know what? You need to call the investigator. I'm ending this conversation.
Okay, Angelina.
But here was the twist. The police had been with him, orchestrating everything. The trap was already set. They had been recording all of the conversations between her and Chad. Every word she said was about to come back to haunt her.
At
You
one
have a
point
good
you
night,
said,
Cat.
Angelina, you're going to ruin my life.
You have a good night,
Which
Cat.
actually, although it's maybe part of the script for that call, it's kind of true, given what she tried to do to you before.
It was. But inside, I knew it was the other way around. You're not going to ruin my life anymore. It's your life that's going to be ruined because of this.
Right when detectives thought they'd missed their chance to get some evidence, they received a call from Angelina. What she said on that call would lead investigators closer to the truth than she ever imagined.
I just got a phone call from the hallway. You from the hallway called you? Yes. He said, how can you, the detectives have told me that they think I killed Frank with antifreeze, and that's what we told him. And he says, you know, I wouldn't go spraying these things or else. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, I don't need to be talking to you. And he says, well, they'll never be able to catch me anyway. But he says, you know, you just gotta watch your back. He says, you better watch your back. Okay. I am scared to death.
Angelina calls police and says, "Oh my gosh, Frank's old coworker just called me and now he's threatening me." Angelina doesn't know is that the joke's on her. Of course, the police knew that the coworker had called her.
Detectives fought hard to get Angelina to confess, but she wasn't going to make it easy. To piece together the full picture, they turned to her friend Palmyra Gorham, who might hold the key to solidifying their suspicions. Palmyra told them that towards the
Have a
end
good
of
day.
July, she had an interesting
Love you
conversation
too.
with Angelina.
Later.
There was another conversation on the telephone with Palmyra. Angelina told her she was making a milkshake for Frank, and a special milkshake for him. And Palmyra questioned if Frank was sick, and Angelina told her, "Not yet,
Not yet.
not yet."
This comment, in hindsight, seemed to foreshadow the deadly plan that Angelina had set in motion. She revealed interesting details about Angelina's love life. One of those secrets was Angelina's alleged affair with Palmyra's nephew, Loran Moranes. Each time Angelina visited Palmyra, she'd run into Loran, and soon, casual greetings turned into a secret affair. Though still newly married to Frank, who was her fourth husband, Angelina found herself confiding in Palmyra about her dissatisfaction, even joking and saying, "If I were to kill him, at least I'd end up with a little bit of money." At the time, Palmyra dismissed it, unaware that this seemingly innocent detail would soon unravel a dark and deadly truth. Apart from this, another key tactic used by the detectives was their suggestion to Angelina that they needed proof Chad had prior knowledge of Frank's visit to Angel Gate. Angelina responded by sending anonymous faxes and letters. The fax read, "Detective Holmes, I mailed this to you. Why is Chad still free? Thought maybe you did not get it. Here it is again." With all the information collected against her, from her suspicious calls, anonymous faxes, and
What a
statements only the
dumbass.
killer could have known, to her friend Palmyra revealing a shocking new truth, detectives were finally ready to arrest Angelina. Detectives Steinwand and Holmes visited Angelina's new home on February 7th, 2001.
Good morning. Morning. How's it going today?
Okay.
We got a little problem.
What?
Les Holloway was visiting you guys on Friday. Holloway couldn't have done this. The stuff that Frank had in his stomach was he had to ingest within a couple hours of his death. They found it in his stomach, the liquid, the antifreeze, and it has to, liquids purge every couple hours.
Angelina, did you give Frank antifreeze?
No, I didn't. I love my husband. I would not do that.
Let's think about this a second. You're the only person with him. You're taking care of him. You're feeding and giving him liquids to drink.
I didn't.
It's important to be honest.
I know it is. I know it is. I mean, I've been trying to get to the bottom of all this from day one. I mean, I love my husband. I wouldn't put my family through this hell.
They spoke for 35
Yeah,
minutes, and
sounds like you would.
slowly Angelina's carefully constructed lies began to crumble.
We have an abundant amount of information that points that you poisoned Frank.
I didn't poison my husband.
I mean, I am willing to take a lie detector test. I did not poison my husband. My husband was sent to me by God. Yeah, we had financial problems, which caused an emotional kind of craziness about it. But you know what? That's common.
What if I was to tell you that all the information that we've accumulated, that we can pretty much prove that you did? We need the truth. Gotta have the truth, Angelina.
I did not kill my husband. I didn't.
Only you had the means to do it, the motive to do it, and the ability to do it.
The conversation turned tense as the detectives pressed her about Frank's death.
The only information, the only person that supplied any information that Frank was poisoned was you. No one else knew that Frank was poisoned. Only you. Only you knew oleander. In addition to that, nobody in this entire investigation told us about antifreeze.
And it wasn't long before they revealed the harsh truth. This entire time, she thought she was enjoying the circus, but she was the very clown being watched.
This entire time, we have used everything you said and followed up on everything you've done and said. And quite frankly, it's hard to remember all those lies.
I didn't kill my husband.
Okay. You can stand up.
Are you arresting me?
Yes, you are under arrest for murder of Frank.
No! I didn't kill my husband!
We also have a search warrant for your apartment.
Kill my husband!
Angelina, we can prove that you did.
After Angelina's arrest, officers conducted a thorough search of her home. Among the items discovered was a napkin with the sheriff's fax number, an important clue, given that she had sent the anonymous fax to the sheriff. Another chilling discovery was
I thought that I didn't think they were anonymous. I thought they knew that she sent it.
Detailing how Angelina planned to spend the $250,000 life insurance payout. This small piece of paper exposed her darkest intentions.
It contained all the amounts of insurance money she stood to gain. She even calculated the interest she would earn from the insurance payout.
That's crazy.
This indicated her preoccupation with the financial gain from Frank's death and her potential dark motives. Right when detectives thought they had all the evidence they needed, this new discovery confirmed everything they had suspected.
Angelina had an oleander plant growing over the fence.
Apart from this, Angelina's involvement came just hours after Frank's death. At 10:17 a.m. on the morning of his death, Angelina had called West Covina Insurance Company.
Within only a few hours of Frank's death, Angelina calls the insurance agent and asks him how quickly she could get her payout.
She's doing things that are so incredibly stupid and self-destructive that she's practically waving a flag at everybody saying, it's me, I'm the one.
Now with her in custody, prosecutors were ready with all the evidence against her.
The prosecution in this case portrayed the defendant as calculating, manipulative, premeditated, committing an unspeakable act for greed.
It was painful for him. It was a painful death.
While awaiting trial in March 2001, Angelina contacted Palmyra and pressured her to change her testimony.
Angelina's just desperate. She calls and asks her to lie to investigators about a conversation they had had.
She warned Palmyra that if she didn't alter her story, she could be arrested as an accomplice. Angelina suggested that Palmyra simply say she had found Angelina with her boyfriend, then made up the story about the poisoning. When Palmyra refused to change her statement, Angelina's manipulative behavior escalated further. In May 2002, while still in jail awaiting her trial, Angelina took her criminal intentions even further by attempting to solicit the murder of Palmyra. What Angelina planned next was so audacious, it shocked even seasoned investigators.
She told her cellmate she would pay $20,000 to whomever would carry out the hit.
She had approached fellow inmate Gwendolyn Hall to kill Palmyra once she was released. Angelina gave Gwendolyn a detailed description of Palmyra's house and the violent actions she had pressured her to carry out.
When you go in the front door, it's going to be the living room. Okay? And then you'll see the dining room right there. It's not a big house. Then you'll go around, you'll see a kitchen, okay? You gotta go up through the kitchen, up 2 steps. You hear me? Then you're gonna make a quick left, and you'll see the kids' room. Then you make a quick right, and their bedroom is the last door on the left.
They make a follow her in or something.
Little did Angelina know, Gwendolyn had her own plans.
The very person that Angelina asked to do a hit turned around and told authorities what Angelina was doing.
Gwendolyn then continued her conversations with Angelina, all while setting the stage to double-cross her and giving detectives exactly what they needed.
Do you think that if they made it look like a suicide, they'd be bright enough to figure a way to do that? They can do it robbery gone bad, or they can make it look like the boyfriend gone bad.
She even mentioned staging the murder to happen in the morning when Palmyra would be alone after taking her kids to school.
I was thinking like the heroin part, just asking them just to get a whole bunch, an incredible, a ridiculous amount, and just, you know what I mean? Just pump it into her that it's way too much.
However, instead of only taking this as enough evidence, investigators went further with a creative route. To make it appear that the murder had been carried out, detectives orchestrated a fake shooting. This carefully staged deception was just the beginning of the end for Angelina.
Basically, stage her death. We'd have her on her bed in her house with a fake bullet hole, fake blood.
That picture's pretty convincing.
It was very convincing, yes.
Another detective posing as a hitman named Antonio Davis met with Angelina in prison in June 2002, further confirming her role in the plot. And when Angelina faced the hitman, her dark intentions became undeniable.
Something's happened to your friend. Okay?
Who? What?
Right. Okay?
Where did you get those from?
You need to contact your family. Okay?
Oh my God. I thought you was kidding. I am so ready to go home.
The more investigators uncovered about Angelina's conversations and actions, the clearer it became that she had been willing to go to extreme lengths to have Palmyra killed. The chilling nature of the crime became even more apparent when Angelina's daughter Autumn gave a statement. The day her mother was arrested, Autumn told officers about a special bottle of Gatorade that was prepared for Frank, one she wasn't allowed to touch. Angelina had even asked her to help feed it to him. On the night Frank died, Autumn recalled her mother making him drink an entire bottle of red Gatorade, saying money was tight and they needed it for him. 2 months before Frank's death in July 2000, Angelina took out a $250,000 life insurance policy on Frank. This policy was more than a safeguard. It was the final piece in her deadly plan. She testified that she had responded to a direct mailing advertisement and thought it would be a good idea. But Frank was not totally in on this idea.
And she started to tell him all the reasons why that she felt that they needed insurance. And she was doing such a good job that I just sat there and shut my mouth and I said, hey, I'm going to let her do the selling.
And in less than 2 months, she called the agent back.
She called me and she says that I have some bad news. My husband's dead. And I said, wow.
Angelina's obsession with the insurance payout, the strange milkshake, the suspicious Gatorade, and the poison found in Frank's system all pointed to a carefully planned murder. In the trial, disturbing details about Angelina's past emerged, causing her ex-husband, Tom, to question if she had orchestrated their daughter Alicia's tragic death years earlier. The two had married in 1987 and had daughters Autumn and Alicia. During a 1992 vacation in Michigan, they were warned about Alicia's pacifier, which had been recalled due to safety risks. Months later, the couple would face their darkest fears.
Her daughter choked on a pacifier.
These pacifiers have been recalled because of either deterioration or failure.
Angelina sued Gerber, eventually receiving a $750,000 settlement. As suspicions about her motives surfaced in court, even Tom began to wonder if Alicia's death had been part of a darker plan. The question was no
Dude, that's
longer whether she had
crazy.
killed Frank. It was only a matter of when justice would catch up with her.
She definitely killed her
Angelina's
daughter,
extramarital affair
100%.
with Palmyra's nephew, Lauren, also
No doubt.
contributed to the growing evidence against her. About a week before Frank's death,
Thank you for
Angelina
hanging out, buddy.
confided in Lauren that she had intentionally left the gas
Thanks for hanging out, Rox.
hoping for one of two outcomes, either a deadly explosion or Frank passing out from the fumes. When questioned by investigators, Lauren admitted that he had kept quiet because he didn't want to get involved. Additionally, police found records showing Frank reported a gas leak on September 3rd. A technician discovered a loose gas line, which looked likely to have been tampered with. Had Frank not alerted the leak, it could have killed him. This raised suspicions that Angelina might have been trying to harm him before resorting to poison.
No shit.
On January 12th, 2004,
I'll open the door in a
Angelina
second,
was
Rocky.
convicted and sentenced. She was sentenced to death, not only for the murder of Frank, but also for the calculated way in which she had orchestrated his demise for financial
She's
gain.
got sentenced to death
Her
for that.
reaction seemed very calm and only mildly upset about the verdict. And the same demeanor was seen while she was addressing the court.
I broke and made a few terrible, stupid mistakes, which I regret very much.
I
We all
broke.
make mistakes. I just picked the wrong time to make mine.
Yo, what the fuck is this lady saying, bro?
However, she was not convicted for the death of her daughter.
I guarantee you she
Angelina's
killed her
case
kid.
is a haunting
There's
reminder
no
of
doubt
the
in my mind.
extremes of manipulation and greed, from poisoning Frank to plotting Palmyra's
No
murder,
doubt in my
and
mind
even
she
her
killed that
involvement
fucking
in her
poor
daughter
kid.
Alicia's tragic death.
I went 10 years thinking that Alicia's death was an accident, so it was like reliving her death all over again.
Her actions were coldly calculated. Ultimately, her relentless drive for control and financial gain led to her undoing, resulting in a conviction and
I'm gonna be right back.
sentence. Before we wrap up, we extend our heartfelt condolences
Here
to
you go,
Frank's
you little
family and
weasel.
loved ones. Do you think there are warning signs in Angelina's actions that, if noticed earlier, could have prevented these tragedies? And in the end, was justice truly served? Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know which case you'd like us to cover next. If you found this video engaging, please like and subscribe to Mysterious 7. Until next time, stay curious.
Just let me know.
You hear?
In the late 19th century, the city of London was the largest in the world, a sprawling metropolis and a melting pot for trade, finance, and people. But in the autumn of 1888, an horrific story emerged from the capital's East End. A story
Fuck is this? The ending mystery of... No, I'm good on that.
Sandoval County 911, what is the exact location of your emergency?
We think we found a body out here. It's in a road, and somebody has put it on like a mattress or something and burned it. And it looks like it has bones in it, and you can see intestines and guts, and I don't know. It's weird.
This 911
I don't know.
call
It's weird.
is a horrifying scene.
It's okay.
It looks like it has ribs and teeth in there.
Yeah, it's creepy.
It might be exactly what we think it is, so.
Police identified the victim as Marilyn Gandert, and when they visited her house, they were not prepared for what was about to come next.
This is the Albuquerque Police Department. Make your presence known.
The Albuquerque Police Department.
Clear.
I already know what's happening.
Tell me what you think.
No.
She said, I'm too old. Will you please kill me?
It all began with a 911 call on January 28, 2018, at 6:56 a.m. It was from 62-year-old Harry Gandert, who lived about 20 miles south in Albuquerque.
Albuquerque Police, how can I help you?
Yes, this is Harry Gandert. I'm at my sister's house, and she's not here. And I haven't been able to get a hold of her, and she usually gets back to me because I call her every morning and night, and she has, and the phone has been offline.
Okay. And what's your sister's name?
Marilyn Gandert. Well, her vehicle's here, and that's how she travels. I mean, my note that I left yesterday is still in the door. I'm getting worried now.
Okay.
It's not a good day.
Marilyn Gandert, 65, had vanished from her home under mysterious circumstances. As the police started their search, they uncovered a series of troubling clues. First, they began by interviewing her brother, who made the 911 call.
I answer the door. Her phone is like it goes directly to voice messaging. I left a note there yesterday. It's still there.
Okay.
Her vehicle is here. I'm really nervous.
Do you have a
She's
key?
got three. No, I don't. She doesn't have that many friends. She's like me, kind of solitary.
Okay. All right.
But now my mind is going everywhere. But she
No, I
got kidnapped.
I'm with you, sir.
Killed. I don't know.
Harry revealed that Marilyn lived alone, keeping mostly to herself. Years ago, her husband had passed, and not long after, her only son, Ryan Bickett, tragically took his own life.
Damn.
When she stopped answering her calls, it wasn't just a missed call. It was a warning no one understood. However, when there were no clues found, Nancy Robinson, Marilyn's longtime friend from the post office, grew concerned.
Are you worried about Marilyn too?
Yeah.
I haven't get a hold of her for a couple of days, and it's just not like her.
No, it isn't.
So have you gone in? Did you have a key?
No, I don't have a key.
Do you have a key?
No.
No? Okay.
But the dogs are barking.
For Marilyn to vanish without a word, it was clearly a sign that something was terribly
Dude, I wish I
wrong.
had friends like that.
Police next went straight to her home. Searching around the property, they
this
noticed
lifetime.
signs that something was amiss. After knocking on the door with no response, they headed to the backyard to investigate further and check if anything, or anyone, was out of place. Next, they went to the side of the garage, but the blinds blocked their view. Unable to see anything inside, they moved to the back of the house where they found the front door wide open. It felt like a strange, silent invitation that pushed the police to step inside and search.
I'm gonna go inside, okay?
Best friend.
I understand that, but there might be somebody in there. Come over here. I'm gonna wait for another officer. We're gonna go inside, and then we'll get everything taken. I just don't want you to be getting hurt, okay? Presidents, this is Albuquerque Police Department. Coming inside, you need to make your presence known now. Come to the front door with your hands open and empty. Do it now. Ready? I'm gonna keep along the danger zone of the kitchen, and just kind of cover right side by side to the right. Stepping out. Clear. Go. I think this is the garage in here. Clear through. Alright.
The police then noticed something unusual: pill bottles and medical paperwork scattered around. Inside, there was no sign of Marilyn and nothing seemed disturbed, but one odd detail stood out. Marilyn's house keys were left hanging from the front doorknob.
And the keys are on the door.
That's
a lot of weird stuff. Just seems to happen.
not normal.
An open door, a missing woman, and one chilling clue. The scene held a mystery that hinted at the darkness within. Soon they moved to check another property Marilyn owned, a neighboring house she had been renting to her daughter-in-law, Alyssa. Nancy informed the police that they had recently moved out.
So we'll check. We'll see what's going on.
So light this bitch up. We gotta make 3 more potions after this.
Come on out a second. So what's going on?
I'm moving out.
Okay, what's your name?
Alyssa.
This was 43-year-old Alyssa, Marilyn's daughter-in-law. Along with her in this house lived her 19-year-old son Drake and friend Annie Rail. When the officers arrived at Alyssa's home, they found her in the midst of moving out.
And the owner knows you're here getting
Yeah,
your stuff?
she on Friday, she said come on Saturday morning and get the key.
Alyssa told police she had planned to pick up the keys from Marilyn on Saturday morning, move the rest of the items, and complete the move on Sunday. She also offered to show them text messages that might help. What detectives didn't realize was that this encounter would be the thread that could untangle a far darker web. For now, though, everything seemed routine. They pressed on, trying to gather information about who last spoke to or saw her, but the search revealed no leads on her whereabouts.
Can I see those texts? It just clears a few things up for us.
No, that's fine. I said I'm going to come by in about an hour for the keys. I don't have, but I told her when I am, and see, she wasn't answering me, but she doesn't always answer me.
So the last one you got from her
was at 10:35 on the 26th. That was the Friday.
Okay.
But she was here that day, and we were hanging out.
Do you know where she would be right now?
I honestly, I don't, and that's
because somebody's trying to report her as missing. Because Marilyn is being entered as a missing person, they want us to do a walkthrough on this house.
Okay, that's fine. Perfectly fine. I have no problem.
I appreciate it, Alyssa. Just one, it's a box to check.
$100K points. Here we come. We're a tenth of the way there.
Moving to
Essentially.
Oh no.
This one?
I had it a little close, so I was trying to.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. You can open that door if you want. That's a closet. She didn't come yesterday, and I expected her to come by, but I didn't think anything of it. I thought, she probably just.
Right.
Sometimes she gets mad and won't even talk to me. And she's mad at me, but she has been pretty cordial with me. I said, I'm just trying to get my stuff out.
Despite finding nothing in the house, they walked away with a timeline from Alyssa, one that could be the key to unraveling the mystery.
Bro, this new narrator, Slowkey, is pretty shit for this show.
Haunted by the question of whether they would find her safe.
Rocky!
Marilyn's brother, her best friend, and her daughter-in-law, 3 people who were always in close contact with her, had no idea where she was. She had simply vanished.
Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase.
Passes that this person is gone, it could also mean that more time passes that they could be injured, harmed, or pass away.
Then on the night of January 26, 2018, a middle-aged woman drove home from work in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. But this wasn't just another late-night commute. This drive would change her life, forever. On her way, she spotted something odd lying on the road. A smoking pile with bits of black smoke and faint orange embers, suggesting it had recently been on fire. The road was dark, so she kept driving, but the image of that burning pile stayed with her. By the next morning, she returned to see it in daylight along with her husband. As the couple stepped out of the car for a closer look, what they saw shook them to the core. The husband immediately called the police and told them about the horrifying discovery, and they rushed to the scene without delay.
229. So when I get there, I'll give you a Latin long if it is what we think it is.
First hook of the day, boys.
It has ribs and teeth in there. Okay, yeah. I don't know if it's real or.
Yeah, it's creepy.
It might be exactly what we think it is. So.
There, lying on a burned mattress, was the body, charred, twisted, and barely human anymore. Metal restraints had bound the corpse.
Barely human anymore. That's
and ankles like someone had trapped them in
very
place.
descriptive.
The right foot was missing, being cleanly severed at the ankle, and the mouth, a gaping O, as if frozen in an eternal scream. There was no mistaking it now.
Damn.
Someone had meant for this body to be found, almost as if daring the world to notice. And that was just the beginning.
That evening, we put out that we had discovered these remains and hoping that we would get tips from the public as far as missing persons. We probably received 50 phone calls, but the call from Nancy was very specific. Nancy was very concerned that her friend, who had been reported missing, was the deceased person. It would fit our timeline and gave me hope that this was actually the person that we had found. After autopsy, I contacted the Office of the Medical Investigator and provided them with the dentist of Miss Gaynard. They were able to confirm that the decedent on the mattress was Marilyn Gaynard.
By the next day, news of the body spread to Albuquerque. The discovery of Marilyn's body sent shockwaves through the community, especially her brother.
Hi, are you Harry? Uh-huh. Hi, I'm Detective Apodaca. So I told you I was going to keep you up to date as to everything that's going on. The body that you suspected in Rio Rancho, the burned one, was positively identified as Marilyn.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Why don't you have a seat, sir?
Yeah, sit down.
I am so sorry we have to come and bring you
Oh,
this news.
fuck my elbow, bro. That did not tickle.
Harry, I'm so
Oh.
sorry.
She was my sister.
That bitch just went numb.
I wish, I wish I could have been with her or something. It's too late. It's gone. Never hear her voice. I mean, she was just a wonderful person and a very wonderful sister, and I miss her every day of my life.
Marilyn was no longer missing, but had been taken from him in the most unimaginable way. But detectives were now determined to find who
Shawnee,
the killer of this
what's up, buddy?
gruesome crime could be.
She's the last person I would have got anything.
What you been up to these past couple of days, dude?
Or drug dealers or something like that. She's a regular person, a male person.
What was Marilyn's routine?
She was like me, solitary.
She liked to stay home?
By herself, yeah. She had just a few friends like Nancy.
Did she rarely leave the house?
School, I feel that, buddy. You must be coming up on a winter break, though.
She was going with the process of eviction.
Dude, honestly, Sean, do you remember when I used to sit there and go fishing for that heron pet? Well, I got the heron pet yesterday.
You know, she would promise to pay the rent and didn't. She just got tired this time, and I told her, well, maybe you should fix her.
I got the heron pet yesterday. I've just been playing RuneScape.
Like with Alyssa?
I've just been playing RuneScape.
Were her and Alyssa close?
Damn, did you? Yeah, bro.
Frenemy?
More frenemies than... Okay.
The police had just uncovered that their relationship was strained, and another crucial detail was that Alyssa hadn't been moving out by choice, but had been evicted. This was suspicious, especially since she hadn't mentioned it before. The detectives had their work cut out for them.
Yeah,
it
boy.
wasn't just where
We're working
Marilyn
on getting the
lived
fire
that
pet here
interested them
now.
It was where
The
she
Phoenix.
might have died.
Get the Phoenix and then the
Marilyn's own
heron,
home
you know?
was their initial focus.
Can't
but
wait.
A careful examination turned up no signs of a struggle or blood. It was clear that the murder hadn't happened there. With this information, they turned their attention to another property Marilyn owned, the house she had rented out to her daughter-in-law, Alyssa Pickett, who they just learned was evicted from the house.
I said I'm gonna come by in about an hour for the keys. I don't have but I told her when I am, and see, she wasn't answering me, but she doesn't always answer.
No, this is definitely the first time I've been live in the past few days, bro.
Drake, who had moved to a hotel.
I just haven't been feeling like streaming.
The eviction. In his initial statement, Drake claimed that the last time he saw his grandmother outside the house was when his mother and Annie moved their belongings. He stated that at that time, nothing seemed to be amiss that would raise suspicions or be cause for any concern.
When's the last time you talked to your grandma?
I've been watching lots of The Sopranos playing RuneScape, so I can't really stream The Sopranos when I play.
I would say
You know?
3 or 4 days ago, my grandmother was telling my mother that we were getting kicked out, so then I was helping her move out.
How did that make your mom feel?
Oh, she was pretty upset.
Yeah.
She was really upset.
Where's grandma?
She was not there yet.
The Sopranos is a W? Yeah, it's one of my
And then
favorites.
she had shown up. But then, okay, the first time I saw my grandma, Annie and my mom and my grandma were there.
Drake was very nonchalant about things. He didn't know what was going on with his grandma. He's, yawning. He's just waking up. He doesn't even seem to care.
Drake was only 19 years old, so detectives overlooked his ignorance about the situation. But now they were ready to reveal his grandmother's death and observe his reaction.
So, your grandma, we found her, but she's dead.
Where at?
Well, we believe that it's suspicious. Okay, we think someone killed her.
When?
And I'm really sorry.
Okay.
This kid's guilty as fuck.
That makes you feel. That makes me feel sad.
Either he's autistic as fuck.
Maybe so.
His reaction
Nah.
was out of the ordinary, almost
That
as if
kid's
he were
definitely
putting
guilty.
on an act.
Like, what the fuck?
He denied
That's
noticing
weird.
anything strange or
I'm
suspicious,
sad.
and maintained that everyone was alive and well when he last saw
Gotta
them.
act it though, brother.
Armed with a search warrant, the officers combed through Alyssa's home.
This is the Albuquerque Police Department. Make your presence known. Make your presence known now. Okay, is there anybody else in the house? No. All right, step up on me. Okay. So this is the situation, okay? We actually have to secure the house.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get all my stuff out.
Okay.
Like,
All right, so unfortunately, I can't let you go back inside.
I have things in there.
Unfortunately, I can't. Clear.
At first, detectives didn't find anything, but then they spotted a drop of blood on the wall in the entryway hallway. This discovery hinted that something more sinister might have occurred. While the search was underway, Alyssa learned that Marilyn's body had been found. Strangely, when officers first spoke to Alyssa after Marilyn's disappearance, she never mentioned this eviction. She only said she was moving out, a fact that struck detectives as suspicious. To confirm the detectives' suspicions, Nancy provided another perspective. Marilyn was frustrated with Alyssa after years of support. Following Ryan's death, she wanted Alyssa to pay rent, but Alyssa resisted. Hence, Marilyn wanted to sell the house and move on from the emotional and financial toll. When questioned, Alyssa claimed the eviction process was cordial, stating she and Annie wanted to leave peacefully. However, Marilyn's actions showed distrust and animosity. She had changed the locks on her door and only allowed Alyssa in when she was present. After searching Alyssa's rented apartment, police saw her friend Annie come to the driveway.
Tell me about her. Tell me about her.
I don't know her. I don't know a whole lot.
Did you meet Marilyn at all last week?
Yeah, so she was here when we were
Oh, she
moving
was?
stuff.
Okay. Tell me what she was doing here.
She was in a vehicle. She was in and out of the house. She was nagging everybody, telling us like how to move out. And
really?
and then she came at me and she said that, this is your fault. You know why they're getting evicted, right? Because of you. This is weird. Like
I
I
know.
don't like. I
Excuse
already
me.
know what's happening.
Tell me what you think's happening.
No, like I just don't like the way I'm being approached and questioned.
While investigating,
It's like
everyone
really
close to
not my
Marilyn, they found the
vibe,
autopsy
but like
reports.
what the
What the autopsy
hell?
revealed wasn't
Bro, that
just
bitch's
death.
voice.
It was a message, written in violence and fire. She had been beaten and stabbed to death. But the violence hadn't ended there. After killing her, the murderer, or an accomplice, transported her body to Rio Rancho, laid a mattress on the road, and placed Marilyn's body on top before setting it aflame. The killer didn't stop at stabbing and beating Marilyn. She was drenched in gasoline, and then set her body ablaze before disappearing into the night. When the medical examiner inspected the remains, they confirmed there were no signs of sexual assault, but ligature marks around Marilyn's wrists and ankles revealed she had likely been bound, either before or during her murder. However, Alyssa's interview didn't end there. There were more details that would raise red flags.
I want to get my things out first.
Nobody can go back until the search warrant's completed.
I wonder which wants to get out of there.
I know, but I want my clothes and I want to go to my hotel and I want to sleep. My back hurts. I'm tired of moving.
I understand. All right.
I just want my clothes, that's all. Because she said she goes to work on Monday.
Okay.
Okay. That she wanted to take the weekend. She's like, come over in the morning and get the keys.
So she's telling you to come over in the
Yeah.
morning and get the keys.
Fucking
That was
go
the
heal
last time
this
you spoke to her?
goofball over here.
I went on Saturday morning to pick up the keys
So we went over to
around 10 o'clock. And I just knock on the door, get the keys. She says, give them to me on Sunday. And that's all we said. That was it. Not even another word.
Alyssa's timeline of events didn't match the facts, hence detectives pressed her on her shifting story. What raised further suspicion was Alyssa's claim that she last saw Marilyn on Saturday morning. The problem was that Marilyn wasn't alive at that time, making Alyssa's story increasingly strange. As a result, police took both Alyssa and Annie into custody, handcuffing them for formal interviews.
Annie!
That's trying to make sure they're not too tight. Okay. This officer's going to transport you there. You're going to meet with another detective, and we're going to sit down and have a chat. Okay? Step on it. Good way.
After this, detectives also brought Drake into custody and interviewed him. However, this time, Drake would reveal something that would change the entire investigation.
I wrote a warrant
So I'm actually charging you with homicide of your grandma.
Okay.
Okay. I've already had your mom, your mom's arrested.
Yeah.
And Annie is arrested.
Okay.
Okay. So I have enough probable cause to believe that you were involved in the homicide of your grandma.
How so? Oh yeah, you're the detective.
I am the detective.
I'm gonna tell you the honesty.
Okay.
My grandmother said, I'm too old. Will you please kill me? Multiple times, drunk and sober.
Okay.
That is honestly. That is honestly.
Drake's words seemed to offer a twisted justification for the unimaginable. He told detectives he had complied with her wishes, carrying out her request with a sense of reluctant duty.
Crazy.
So you're saying that at some point your grandma asked you to kill her?
Yeah.
So do you remember that date?
I don't remember the date, but that's what she
Maybe
wanted.
not the actual date. I'm not asking you for the date, but can we go back to that date in your memory and tell me what happened?
I was there, and then she would be like depressed, you know?
Right.
And
Damn, man, walk away time. Whatever.
she for certain said that. I know she said that.
Okay.
So I passed her away. You know what I'm saying?
So how did you do it?
This was the moment investigators had been waiting for. The tense pause before they finally expected a confession about how Marilyn was mercilessly murdered.
Just essentially, that's it. That's all the information without a lawyer or a public defender I'd like to share.
Drake shuts down and he asks for an attorney, and it almost is like a defeat again for me because I know there's more to this story and I can't get it anymore from Drake.
Drake's confession may have held an ounce of truth, or it could be hiding something far darker. Yet this statement only deepened the detectives' suspicions, as they suspected Drake might be taking the blame to protect his mother and Annie.
I knew in my heart I arrested the right people, but what bothered me was I did not know their exact role in the homicide. I wanted to know exactly who did what that evening.
Ultimately, further evidence revealed the grim truth. Marilyn's murder was a coordinated act involving not by strangers, but by those closest to her.
Usually how it
Drake's
goes.
confession, alongside corroborating evidence, confirmed that Alyssa, Drake, and Annie all had played a part in Marilyn's murder. But Alyssa had another version of the story to tell.
So Marilyn, she's sitting in her car, and then she was coming in because she needed to use the restroom. But Drake is like, look at my mom, this is our house, can't we just stay here one more night in our own beds? And she said no. And so he was crying and he left out the back door. I stayed in my room. And at that point, I did hear Marilyn yell. And I went out there, and Annie is on her back. She's on the ground.
So Marilyn's on the ground
Marilyn's on the ground, and Annie's
top
got her
of
knee in her back.
Oh, she has her knee in her back.
Mhm.
Okay. What is Annie doing to Marilyn?
Hitting Marilyn's face. And so I'm kind of panicking, but I'm mad, and I did hit Marilyn. I tied up her hands and legs, and I helped her put this bag over her head.
Do you remember what you did it with? What you tied her up with?
Yeah, it was like phone cords and stuff like that. Then there's other one that Annie gets, put it around her neck, and I hear it snap, but I don't know if it's the cord. I'm just like, I gotta go.
So you heard something snap, whether it was the cord or Marilyn's neck.
Right.
You're not sure.
Alyssa also revealed that she had left Marilyn alone with Annie, and when she returned, she found Annie wiping a bloody knife. Alyssa's account seemed to be different. In her confession, Drake was nowhere involved and looked like nothing but a concerned grandson.
We ended up going into Rio Rancho. Then we unload the mattress, and I poured gasoline and I lit it on fire.
What did you assume had happened when you left?
Well, I would assume that she stabbed her or something.
Okay, so you don't see Drake at that point?
No, not at all in the house.
Okay. It didn't quite ring true to me because, first of all, she's putting Drake out of the story. Annie really has no reason to stab Marilyn. Just out of the blue, they beat her up. She's unconscious. Why would Annie just stab Marilyn?
But police quickly found holes in Alyssa's story. With the faults in her story laid bare, they moved on to interviewing the third person who lived in the rented house, Annie.
So, and then when Drake got there, we all were in Alyssa's room getting high. That's
pretty much when Alyssa, like, she had brought it up before about killing Marilyn. I still didn't think we were gonna do it. Like, I thought she was joking. She just told me when she nods, because she would pretend that she was the Don, like the Godfather. She just told me when I nod, get her. And Marilyn was coming in. Drake was like, can you just let us stay? Look at my mom packing. She was like, no. Alyssa looked at me and Drake nodded, and I looked at Drake, and he started like walking behind Marilyn, and I got Marilyn and from behind and took her down.
Both Annie and Alyssa agreed that Annie was the first to lay hands on Marilyn, but while their versions of events matched in some ways, Alyssa never mentioned that the incident was planned, making it seem like
The
it
Vicks
happened
looks so
in the heat
grungy.
of the moment.
Holy fuck.
Additionally, Alyssa failed to mention that Drake had been present during the incident.
Drake was on the side of me and Alyssa. She ran into the room and came out with like a short little bat thing, and Drake got on top of her. I think I yelled at Alyssa to get something to cover her mouth. I had gotten another cord and put it around her neck to strangle her, and Drake pulled it with me and it broke, and then Drake grabbed my knife, and that's when he started stabbing her. I going at it a bunch of times, and I yelled, and I grabbed the knife from him. He had already cut her throat.
Annie's version of events offered an even more gruesome insight. She claimed that Drake had been present during the killing, and that he even assisted in the assault. She stated that Drake helped hold Marilyn down, beat her with a baseball bat, and ultimately slashed her throat.
Annie is adamant that Drake's actually the one who stabbed Marilyn in the neck and in the throat. I do believe that she's being more truthful. I think that Alyssa, being a mom, is trying to protect her son from any involvement in this case.
As investigators pieced together the events, they realized this brutal murder was a calculated crime, carried out by a family united by violence in a desperate attempt to cover their tracks.
Like the
We
Godfather.
believe that all three of these
and
individuals
walk away
did
in time, whatever.
beat Marilyn, did kick Marilyn, punched Marilyn, choked Marilyn. They hit her with a souvenir bat. They
Souvenir
wrapped plastic
bat.
around her neck. They attempted to choke her to death and eventually stabbed her to death. They'd load Marilyn's dead body into a vehicle and drive Marilyn's body into the Rio Rancho area.
Drake's girlfriend Nikki also revealed a chilling account in which Alyssa and Annie forced her to help dispose of Marilyn's body at knife and gunpoint. Nikki described seeing Marilyn face down and bloodied before Alyssa wrapped her in a sheet and loaded her onto Annie's pickup. Under threat, she drove to a remote location where they got Marilyn outside the car to set the final plan in motion.
And watch Alyssa pour gasoline on her and set her on fire. And as they drove away, they could see her body burning in the rearview mirror.
To corroborate this information, surveillance footage placed Annie's truck near the dump site, and a search revealed DNA evidence, including Marilyn's blood, her purse, medications, and keys in the truck bed. In May 2018, police arrested Alyssa for
The
Marilyn's
bitch
murder
looks so grungy, bro. She's got teardrop tattoos.
and later charged Annie as well. Alyssa Bickett and her son Drake confessed to their roles in the death of Marilyn Gandert.
That was definitely a picture taken after prison, bro.
They pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. The court revealed the terrible details of the crime where the Bicketts, facing eviction for not paying rent, let their anger turn into a violent attack. Along with Annie, they brutally took Marilyn's life and left her body on a remote hillside. Annie, who had already admitted her part in the crime, was ready to testify against Alyssa and Drake. Her attorney told the court how the crime took place according to Annie.
Together, Alyssa Bickett, Drake Bickett, and Miss Rael attacked Miss Gandert. Together as accomplices and co-conspirators, they beat and stabbed her. tied her arms and legs, and put a bag over her head.
As prosecutors prepared for a trial, Marilyn's family chose to accept a plea deal to avoid the pain of a courtroom battle. After reflecting on this decision, the judge finally delivered the verdict on October 3rd, 2019.
Oh, this was recent. What the
I
fuck?
don't think that, you know, Drake's upbringing is going to excuse his behavior on this incident, what he did to his grandmother.
The judge
No
sentenced
shit.
Drake to 26 years, Alyssa to 30 years in prison, and Annie, who cooperated with the prosecution, to 12 years.
What? This bitch was like, she was the one that initially started beating her and shit. She's the one that took all the initiative. What the fuck?
Case ended,
Fucking
but
rats,
the
man.
family continued to grieve for Marilyn
These
and
fucking
the senseless
rats.
violence that ended her life.
Her grandson, you know, her daughter-in-law, that doesn't make sense at all. Family members, you know, you don't expect them to do things like that. That's the most shocking part, is that people that you know well could do
Something so heinous. That's just... I don't even know what to say about that.
You know, obviously we can't get a good look at the face yet. Is it just skull bone? Bite marks.
That's interesting, the way the pantyhose or whatever drips. Yeah.
It was at this moment the cops' worst fears were confirmed with a single horrifying discovery.
Dude, this guy's narration's way better.
There was a deranged killer on the loose.
I've never seen
This guy's
anything
narration's
like this.
tenfold.
We just knew that the suspect had several weeks of a head start on us.
The killer thought he'd gotten away, but little did he know, he was caught on camera.
I wanted to get this guy.
Come on, put them in.
It was
Let's
like
go.
my life's mission.
Just when the case seemed unsolvable, the cops found a lead that would change everything.
He broke in the window just about an hour ago. Were you in bed sleeping? I was on the couch. You were on the couch sleeping. You can't leave him here. You guys can't leave him here. He'll kill me.
However, the very first chapter of his sinister story revealed a horror so unimaginable that it shook even the most notorious criminals to their core.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I mean, I'm no angel. I've never done something like that.
It was 7:36 in the evening of April
15,000 points,
2016,
boys.
and a
We
homeless
working
woman
it.
had just called 911 in Pasco County, Florida. She was looking for cans, but had come across something she was never going to forget.
So you basically ventured in the first time, got canned, came back out, went back in a little deeper, pulled those branches back and saw what you thought was a dead body. Did you immediately recognize it as a dead body? Okay, no, did you touch anything? No. Okay, did you do anything at all out there other than touch the branch? And you came back out and you called us.
The suspected area was around the woodland of Newport Ricci. Pasco
Newport
County Sheriff
Ricci.
was going to investigate the report.
We think we're responding to a standard death investigation call. It was relayed to us as a dead homeless male in the woods. We arrive on scene. I activated my body-worn camera. Little did I know what I was
Ricci.
walking into.
The initial speculation was that it was a homeless altercation gone wrong, but the detectives soon realized that they were in the middle of something much more disturbing.
If it's a GSW or he's headless at this point.
Detectives interviewed the caller, who claimed that a headless body of a man was beside a shopping mall next to a mobile home community. She ran back out immediately, and in doing so, she avoided contaminating the scene. After getting confirmation of the body in the wooded area, the investigative team divided into two. One was to secure the body, and the other one was to look out for evidence.
Bet you're stacked.
We want to ensure.
Yeah, we're
that
gonna be
no
stacking
witnesses
some fucking
before
crates
they
after
leave
this,
the
bro.
area or forget what they saw.
I'm gonna go all these houses.
We're gonna be stacking crates after this. We in it for the prize. And we in it for the fucking pet, baby. Give me that pet. That's all I want. Nothing else. Fuck a Toma Fire. Fuck the axe. Pet. That's what we want.
Fortunately, the nearest was the Metro PCS store, where they may find something horrific that was caught on camera.
Almighty. What's up, baby?
Drives here, like actual hard drives to record. Mind if I take a peek at your system? Can I just look at it, see what kind of system it is? Thank you, I appreciate it.
Simply because we see surveillance video cameras doesn't mean that we're going to get any information from them.
Do you guys have cameras out back?
Bro, Almighty, I gotta get some games in with you, brother. I gotta get some games in with you, boy. We gotta play some RuneScape. I'll fucking show you. Show you what's good. I've been helping my buddy Crooks. He's addicted. He's addicted. He's been putting in 12-hour shifts with me.
The employee took him to the room where the CCTV footage was being recorded, but most of it was erased. The new owners had just bought this building on Friday, because of which everything on camera was erased. In the meantime, a different team of police officers secured the area and cleared the path to the body. Their priority was to identify the victim and draw initial conclusions. The investigators were moments away from a revelation that would redefine their entire search.
Like a female flip-flop. Actually.
John, my friend convinced me to try Stardew. I streamed it last night for sure, bro. I got some old... Dude, Stardew, I have that game as well. I have Stardew Valley as well. That shit's super fun.
There's another shoe back there matching.
So that changed a little bit of the dynamic of what we were looking at here.
Stardew Valley's mad fun, bro.
As they realized
I haven't played it in like 2 years.
Right away, they had
but I was addicted to it for a while. Reminds me of Farmville.
I wonder if the body is missing female from Newport Richie. How long is the girl Peck? 2015.
21-year-old Brooklyn Peck was reported missing in October of 2015.
Smart officer
just
there.
Over a mile from the wooded area. After a long investigation, police had labeled her as an unsolved case. The search for Brooklyn had worn out, and the hope of finding her safe and sound had died down with it. But when the newly found body appeared on the news, Brooklyn's family had again hoped to gain some kind of closure after 6 agonizing months.
My relationship with Brooklyn was very, very close. More like a daughter to me. Brooklyn was liked by everybody who met her. Everyone who would meet her would say what a lively personality she had. Even if she didn't have something, she would go out of her way to make sure that someone else had something. I have not met one person that had something negative to say about her. She was just genuinely loved by everybody. At the end of the day, what I would like to hear about Brooklyn's disappearance is just...
Only played like 5 to 7 days so far. Yeah, dude, it's pretty addicting, man.
I mean, you don't ever want to hear the worst.
It's another addicting game.
Hearing the worst is better than hearing nothing.
However, the confirmation on whether it was Brooklyn relied on the coroner's report, which would happen after forensics securely got to the body and took it in for a test. But all of that had to wait until the crime scene was thoroughly investigated and the tricky location of the body was playing a number on them.
Shot over 100 hours? That's crazy.
Watch this stump right here. And the flip-flop. Here, let me open up some of these branches.
I got 44 hours. I got 44 hours. I got half her playtime. This game is mad addicting.
In the event that it doesn't fall on the body.
Around 9:05 in the evening, they finally were able to take a closer look at the body.
With up to 8 people? Yeah, there's always mods you could do that with.
The worst discoveries of their lifetimes.
There's always mods you could do that with.
This is one of the more brutal scenes I had been to.
In this case,
this is like one of the best games you for modding too.
Involved. There was
what's up, Rocky?
Evidence of blunt
hey there, bud.
Trauma to her head.
You know, obviously, we can't get a good look at the face yet. Is it just skull bone?
Normally, if a body's found, one indication that they were robbed could be that they're not wearing any jewelry.
One guy, yeah. It was.
Nope. Nothing to do with that. Nope.
Her dress was pulled over her face. Her stockings were ripped.
Yep.
It was indeed.
A while.
And there was one guy and his girlfriend would go to work every day and bust her ass and shit. And he's just like, for 5 years or whatever, he was making the game, 6 years, whatever. He'd be busting, so this chick would be busting her ass, and then they'd keep getting into fights and shit. And he's like, look, listen, just play it. She'd play it, and then she'd be like, oh my god, okay, I'll keep doing it. Because the game just kept getting better and better.
This was the exact place that
that was super funny.
Her life. She was brought here and murdered.
To think that another human being would do this to a person and leave them without an identity or without any cause or care for that person was very disturbing.
They knew one thing for sure. The investigation was not going to be easy.
Her toenails did and everything. See, like animals ate those toes off.
There was some trash on the ground and We had to decipher through what was evidence and what was not evidence. Early in the investigation, there were some difficulties that we faced, like we didn't have the decedent positively identified. We didn't have any suspects, any motives. We just knew that the suspect had several weeks of a head start on us.
Whether it was
No,
Brooklyn
Garrick,
or
my friend,
not,
is
the victim
nah,
had
I'm not a
suffered
big
the
Garrick
most horrible
guy.
last moments.
That's
In
one
fact,
game I
this would be
just
the
don't
most
play.
horrifying case of SA the detectives had ever
I've
witnessed.
tried it,
She
and
didn't
I just
place
could
the
never get
dress
into it.
over her head. She didn't position herself to where her legs were in a V shape. Her legs were posed in a manner that's consistent with a full battery.
That's interesting, the way the pantyhose or whatever dripped. Yep.
Bite marks.
We ended up getting word from the medical examiner's office that the
Like who it is,
cause of the
Dr.
death was
Chris.
blunt force trauma to the head.
The investigators knew they'd witnessed the aftermath of a disturbing, sexually depraved fantasy. It's here that the true disturbing story would start to unfold.
Well, with the weather we've had, it could speed up the decomposition.
As for the identity of the Jane
Oh, it's
Doe,
got Civilization
Brooklyn
7.
Pack was their closest
It's coming
bet.
out at the beginning of next year.
While the
Damn,
body
bro.
was
I've
processed
never
for
even played
forensic
one.
analysis,
They're
the
hard
detectives
games, aren't
poured
they?
themselves deep into Brooklyn's case file. That is where they made a grim discovery. Even before the forensic report negated the connection between the body and Brooklyn, they detected a physical feature that made it impossible to be Brooklyn. This was one of the many movie-like twists in this case. Brooklyn was missing the tip of her pointer finger on her left hand, while the recovered body had the tip intact.
At this point, we realized that the decedent was not Brooklyn Peck.
When we heard that this wasn't Brooklyn, we had a whole different range of emotions. We went from being happy and relieved that it wasn't her to also being sad that it wasn't her, because we were kind of hoping at this point that we would have some closure.
The attempt to make a positive identity of Jane Doe was back to zero. The next daunting task was to comb through the missing persons reports of the month until they found a positive match. They began a rigorous search through recent missing persons reports, determined to find the woman's identity and, if possible, bring closure to yet another family waiting for answers. As they worked their way through records, they finally had found a match. A woman reported missing.
Okay, it's like
weeks
old
prior,
school
who bore a
Command and
striking
Conquer.
resemblance to the body
Abilities.
they'd
It kind of.
recovered.
I've always thought it reminded me a bit of what's that shit called?
Hear from her. This week they filed a missing persons report with the Maine
Risk.
State Police, who say they have notified authorities down in
The
Florida.
Warframe.
With this identification, the detectives
Warframe is a
realized
good
they
one.
were beginning a new investigation altogether. The body belonged to 52-year-old Judith Therianos. This grandmother had been missing for over a month now, and her family was just as desperate as Brooklyn's. They knew that uncovering what happened to this woman would require a delicate balance of forensic precision and unyielding determination, and perhaps a little luck. While Brooklyn's case remained open, their focus now shifted to unraveling the truth behind Judith's horrible fate.
Judy and I took a road trip down to Florida to visit our friend who had cancer. She stayed behind to take care of her, and I returned back to Maine. Judy and I got referred to as mother and daughter because our age difference is about 20 years, but that didn't stop us. Our friendship was more like soul sisters.
Judith was not a resident of Newport Richey. She was merely a visitor. She traveled there with a friend to see another friend who was battling cancer. Tragically, she never returned home.
I was leaving to go north, and I said, be careful and don't be stupid. That, just watch your back.
I'm sure you said those things, lady.
The medical examiner's office was able to
Definitely
get a fingerprint from the deceased person, and they were able to determine that our deceased was Judith Therianos.
When detectives finally identified Judith, they also gained a crucial lead from the CCTV footage gathered from the area, breathing life back into the case.
We separated into groups. A few detectives went to locate her last known whereabouts, and a couple of us went to a convenience store to obtain video. We concentrated on a convenience store and several other businesses in the area.
The first surveillance video that we located was her purchasing alcohol in a convenience store nearby an area that she was known to frequent.
In the surveillance video footage, we observed Judith purchasing her items. At the time, she was seen accompanied by another person.
The footage showed her buying alcohol at a nearby convenience store while accompanied by an unidentified man. And with that, the police now had a suspect to follow. A suspect that potentially held the answers to this perplexing mystery.
When we located the surveillance
Vampires,
video
fair,
of Judith in
fair.
the convenience store with the mail,
Never played that
we
one
didn't know
either.
if he was responsible for her death or if he was another just acquaintance of her. Maybe he can assist us with the investigation.
Identifying this man became the top priority as he was the last person seen with Judith. Unfortunately, DNA evidence collected from the crime scene yielded no matches in the system, meaning he wasn't registered. The detective's only option was to canvass the neighborhood. Equipped with nothing but a description and photo of the man, they returned to the trailer park, knocking on as many doors as possible in the hope that someone could recognize their primary suspect.
I guess I'll start out with you first. We're conducting a death investigation. Right here in this wood line, there's a badly decomposed body that was just found.
Is that what's stinking back there? I'm telling you, I fucking smell some bad back there.
Okay, it's probably the dead body. It looks to be about 2 weeks old. A white male, and he's got a red shopping cart next to him. If you have seen anything in the past 2 weeks,
About 3 weeks ago, I seen there was a white male back there. He had brought like food and.
What time is it? Yeah, 10:02.
I left him alone because
I've been up since fucking 3 o'clock this morning.
Have you seen anything in the past 2 weeks? Heard anything in the past 2 weeks?
EST, yeah.
Descriptions
EST.
indicating either that they didn't know what happened or they didn't want to talk to the police. The closest they got was to a man named Grizzly, who not only had information, but also evidence.
We received information that there was a man named Grizzly who lived nearby in a mobile home park, that he had known Judith. So we had gone to speak with him to see if he had any kind of information that could assist with this investigation.
Come on in. Here's my messy hat. That's all right. I'm a bachelor.
I'm a bachelor.
And I figured I better do the right thing. Right?
Thank you.
Because I don't want to be known as a inspector of sex. I get it.
No, we understand, Doctor.
He had information that went beyond simple hearsay and even presented them with tangible evidence. He told the police that he barely knew the man, but gave him a shelter to stay for a couple of days.
Short hair, brush cut type of deal.
He also informed the detectives that this man had left behind his bag.
But these are the clothes that were under the bed in this bag.
Okay.
When we collected those items, we examined them and we believe that it was the same shirt.
Well, on weekdays we
same
home around
backpack
6 every
that
day,
was
and
in
I'm
the
always free on
surveillance
weekends.
video
So join me on
at the convenience
Discord.
store while she was with
If
the
you'll be
man.
playing Rune or
Grizzly's
something, I'll join
revelation
up for
was a
sure.
crucial
Alright.
break in the case,
Usually always
as
on,
it
so.
directly tied the suspect's attire to the scene. However, Grizzly's
Do we even
knowledge
have you on
came to an
Discord? I gotta
abrupt
make sure I
halt
got
there.
you.
He claimed he didn't know much about the
I
suspect.
have so many
beyond the
open
fact that he
conversations.
seemed anxious, almost paranoid, and in a hurry to leave town. According to Grizzly, the man had talked about buying a one-way ticket to Chicago, but
What's
hadn't
your
offered
Discord
any
name?
personal details or even a name.
He sold his vehicle for a plane ticket.
You don't know where the plane ticket was for, though?
Chicago, that's all he said.
But it's here detectives were about to get an unexpected lead, and it unfolded in a manner that made the mystery even more unsettling.
After we spoke to Grizzly, I was walking back to my car and a man named
Have we done before?
Stefan said,
I'm positive
"Hey
we have.
detective, can I talk to you about the IRS?" And he gave me a wink as he said it to me, which made me believe that he didn't want to talk to me about the IRS and he probably had more information.
The cops sensed a possibility of a lead so impactful that it could crack open the case entirely. They were at a make-or-break moment in their investigation, so they quickly
Yeah, okay,
assured
I
him
got
that
you on
anything
Discord
he
for sure.
disclosed would be handled
Yeah,
with
I
the
got you.
utmost confidentiality and protection. That was when Stefan talked.
Well, you know where the dollar store is over there in the
Yes.
liquor store?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it was about 6 p.m. And he walked with me to get cigarettes at the liquor store. We came out, and she was on the side of the dollar store, kind of leaning against the wall. I waved to her, and he goes, "Who's that?" And I said, "That's Judy."
Stefan knew not only Judith, but also the mystery man. According to Stefan, his name was Timothy. It was when he was with Timothy at a convenience store, Timothy had expressed his curiosity about Judy. With Grizzly's evidence tying the mystery man to the scene, and now Stefan's implied willingness to reveal something huge, the investigators were nearer to the bottom of the truth than ever. Stefan was
Almost
on the brink of
20,000
revealing
points here.
something that would finally unravel the mystery once and for all.
Who knows what's in somebody's head? I guess he wanted to confide in me. He says, "Can I tell you something really bad that I did?" I said, "I guess, unless you killed her." He goes, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about." And I panicked. I got up and I started pacing. Oh my God! I was like, "Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!" I go, "Yeah, how do you think I feel?" And I didn't want to hear no more. At that point, I was freaking out. And then he went on to say something about getting a rush from doing it.
The mystery man was finally identified, but this was just the beginning of what Stefan was about to reveal.
He said, "Yeah, I've been back to the spot 2 times with alcohol."
And when he said alcohol, did he meant like drinking alcohol?
Drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
I got the feeling that he meant alcohol to clean,
kind of like
clean up or whatever.
Like a peroxide type of a thing, like rubbing alcohol.
Yeah.
At the scene, we located a rubbing alcohol bottle.
Miss
At the time, we
area.
didn't know the
So if
significance
I'm
of it.
on, I'm asleep.
Now we know.
Fair. Alright.
He took
fair.
rubbing alcohol and poured it on her body in an attempt to conceal his identity by killing the DNA.
Starting that night, I'm like freaking out. I couldn't sleep for days. I barricaded my door. I sleep with a knife under my pillow. I sleep with my phone right in my hand.
How long have you known him for? When did you first meet him?
About a week before he confided in me.
So you have only known him for a short period of time.
Let me stop you. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
When you say you and him, who was that?
Tim.
Stefan identified the man as Timothy Johnson.
You okay?
Give you more, but
Now you benefit help.
Very good.
Timothy had expressed his interest in Judith.
You alright
but
down there?
Within a couple of hours, the interest would take a deadly turn. The detectives were moments away from a discovery that would rewrite the story entirely.
It was a huge turning point for us because it felt like we were getting closer to figuring out who had killed Judith.
Detectives did a background check on Timothy Johnson, and they found that he'd been previously arrested 4 times in Florida for aggravated battery, domestic battery, and 2 times for failure to appear in court.
Just go on and spread your legs for me. Nothing else on you, right? That I didn't catch?
Interestingly, one of those aggravated assault arrests took place 3 weeks before Judith's body was discovered.
Nothing in your waistband, nothing like that?
He was drinking heavily and broke into a woman's home late at night, but more importantly, this meant that he was already in the police's custody.
Ethan.
He broke in the window just about an hour ago.
Were you in bed sleeping?
I was on the couch.
You were on the couch sleeping.
He comes around the hallway with a knife in his hand. He threatens to cut me up and everything. You can't leave him here. You guys can't leave him here. He'll kill me.
Timothy Johnson was so cold-hearted and didn't show any type of remorse about the crimes that he had committed.
Now that the detectives are armed with witness statements, CCTV footage, and evidence that puts him near the crime scene, the detectives will cut straight to the elephant in the room. The video evidence alone was significant.
All good.
It captured Timothy near the crime scene around the time Judith was killed, with witnesses also recalling his erratic behavior and interactions with Judith in the days leading up to her death. With these pieces coming together, the detectives were prepared to build a solid case, knowing that Timothy's violent history provided context and weight to the current charges. The cops felt that they'd finally found the cold-blooded killer, but when the detectives went to the prison to interrogate him, little did they know this was just the beginning.
How you doing, Timothy? My name's Detective Lucius. My partner's Detective Burbridge. Okay.
Shaquille O'Neal, what's up?
But I have to read your Miranda, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
At that point, I was nervous too because I wanted to make sure I didn't screw it up. I wanted to get this guy. It was like my life's mission.
I have a picture of you with a person named Judith Theranos. Okay? Yeah. So obviously you guys are hanging out. How did you know her?
She used to go around the neighborhood I was staying at.
As they delved deeper, detectives realized they weren't just investigating a single murder. They were unraveling a pattern of escalating violence, and Johnson's arrest history hinted at a man accustomed to escaping serious repercussions for his actions.
While talking to Timothy, we were able to realize that
Yo, Sean, make sure you turn on Gifted.
When he spoke to us.
Sean, make sure you turn on gifted because you got a new account, bro.
Soft-spoken.
You're gonna have to click on one of those
appear to be aggressive.
boxes and turn
This
it on.
is not the first time he's been interviewed by law enforcement.
Do you know anything about her death? When was the
Oh,
last time
shit.
you saw her?
Somewhere around March.
Up until now, have you heard that she died?
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of it. Yeah.
So you don't know her on a personal level. Is it somebody you would have hung out with?
Just yeah. We did have.
Relax, Miss President. Yes, sir.
He admitted that he knew Judith, and then he admitted to having sex with her. So we knew as detectives that we were getting closer to having him confess to murdering Judith.
They thought they were nearing a confession, but they were in for a surprise.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and cut to the chase because we know that you killed her. Okay, I can tell you right now, we know that you killed her. So what can you tell us with regards to that?
And here's where I'm at with this. I know that you're lying, obviously. We're trying to give you the opportunity to explain what happened, why it happened. We think that during your guys' consensual
Damn, it's in now.
escalated.
Shit,
and it
R.I.P.
turned to the
Sean.
point where you killed her.
I think it was an accident. That's really what I think.
Am I gonna have my lawyer present?
If you want to, sure.
It wasn't until after he was charged with first-degree murder, formally booked, and placed within the prison walls that he finally confessed to his actions, but not to the investigators. Instead, he talked to another prisoner.
We were sitting down talking, and he told me he was having with her.
Okay.
She wanted him to stop. He didn't want to stop. He said he choked her.
The informant was able to provide us with specific details.
She passed out.
Sheesh.
He said at that point he got scared. He pulled her shirt over her head. He hit her with some kind of board.
He knew where it happened. He was able to provide us information that he had sex with her near a dumpster and that he left her body in the wooded area.
After suffocating her to death and bashing her face in, he left to a place that could make anyone's skin crawl.
I obtained surveillance video footage of him at the restaurant eating, and it was the same time as
He's a
the
true
transaction
psychopath.
on Judith's credit card.
Timothy was just sitting there nonchalantly. He wasn't panicked. He wasn't freaking out. It was like nothing ever happened to him.
Timothy swallowed down some waffles with his victim's stolen credit card. What he planned to do next would forever haunt him. But no one dared imagine.
The fuck?
He said he went back and had sex with her again. When I was like,
Damn, it's in now. Yeah. Got him.
During all of the investigations that I've worked, I've never seen anything like this.
I don't want to know the truth. It sickens me. I mean, I'm no angel. I've never done something like that.
Timothy Johnson was sentenced for a lifetime. In remembering Judith Therianos, we honor her life.
That guy's a
advocating for a world
fucking
where
psychopath.
Every individual is treated with dignity.
20,000, 21,000 points. 21,000.
When Tiffany Lee stood trial for the murder of her ex-boyfriend, she became known as the Hillsborough Heiress. Tiffany came from a family of real estate investors worth tens of millions, perhaps hundreds of millions of dollars. In the spring of 2016, the father of her children went missing. It just so happened that the two had spent months arguing over money. And Tiffany was the last person believed to have seen him alive.
Gee.
Hi there, I'm Kevin, and welcome to Just Thought Lounge. The case we're about to examine is another head-scratcher. All signs point to one version of events. That is, until more details came to light.
Any New Year's
and a very
resolutions,
different
healthier
picture
lifestyle?
began to emerge. Let's take a look.
But that started like last week.
On Friday, April 29th, 2016, a hiker in the Golden Gate Park in San Francisco came upon a cell phone discarded on a trail. It belonged to the 27-year-old culinary student and father of two, Keith Green. Keith had left his apartment in Millbrae the night before at about 9 p.m., leaving behind his car, keys, and wallet. For the previous 6 months, he had been staying with family friend Angela Dunn, following his breakup with a longtime girlfriend and mother of his children, Tiffany Lee. Angela reported that Keith had plans to meet with Tiffany that night to discuss custody arrangements for their two
Canada's
daughters,
locking it in.
Vivian
Redeem
and
Taupe.
Mia, aged 4 and 2. When Keith left the apartment, he was dressed casually
take
in
one,
dark
I guess, right now.
sweatpants and a t-shirt, a pair of sneakers on his feet. The plan was to chat briefly in the parking lot of the Pancake House restaurant, which was directly across the street and had already closed for the day. After leaving for that meeting, Keith never returned home. He was reported missing the next day. The park where his cell phone was found is a roughly 30-minute drive north from the Pancake House towards the Golden Gate Bridge. For weeks, friends and family distributed flyers around Millbrae and the San Francisco area, desperate for a clue as to what had become of the aspiring chef and loving father. On May 11th, Sonoma County Sheriff's deputies found a body in a field off Highway 101 near Geyserville. It was a further 2 hours drive north from Golden Gate Park. It had been 2 weeks since Keith was last seen alive. Dental records were used to identify the remains. 1 week later, officials confirmed that they had found the body of Keith Green. When he was discovered, he was wearing only his socks. His front teeth were broken. Keith had died of a single gunshot wound through the neck.
His cell phone was found unattended the next morning in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park.
having
He
a
left
key
his
is
car and
suspicious.
his wallet. So
Alright, Johnny
that
boy.
raised some suspicion with us. He was identified through dental records, and as far as it being a homicide, it was evidence that was located on his person.
It's worth.
Keith's ex-girlfriend, 30-year-old Tiffany Lee, told investigators that she had indeed met with Keith on April 28th at the Pancake House, where they spoke for about an hour. Sometime just after 10 p.m., she had left the parking lot, driving her Mercedes-Benz SUV. She left Keith alone and drove home. At first, she expressed doubt that Keith was genuinely missing, believing that it was possible that he was attempting to scam her by pretending to be kidnapped. Since parting ways months earlier, their relationship had turned acrimonious. Discussions over how to fairly split finances, as well as time spent with their daughters, had been contentious. Keith and Tiffany had met in 2009 and soon after moved in together in a $7 million mansion purchased for Tiffany by her mother in the prestigious neighborhood of Hillsborough. Although their romance had moved quickly, the two were not an obvious match. Up to that point in their lives, they had been on very different paths. Born in Beijing, Tiffany grew up in Silicon Valley, had attended prestigious schools, and prepared to join the lucrative family business. She held a master's degree in business from the University of San Francisco. Upon graduation, Tiffany began a $100,000 a year role helping to manage her family's real estate holdings. Her mother, Li Ji-hong, had reportedly amassed the family fortune in Beijing in the 1980s through joint ventures with construction companies owned by the Chinese military. The family owned a massive real estate portfolio, which included at least 2 high-rises in Beijing and multiple properties in the Bay Area. By 2016, Tiffany estimated that the family was worth somewhere between 50 to 100 million US dollars, though other external estimates place the family's wealth in multiples greater than that. Keith Green was born in a working-class neighborhood in the shadow of Silicon Valley. His parents divorced when he was young, and he was raised mainly by his mother, Colleen. As a youth, Keith excelled at athletics. He was a celebrated high school quarterback and made friends easily. After dropping out of college, he flipped between periods of unemployment and temporary work. But after meeting Tiffany, he had an opportunity to pursue further education. Li Jihong reportedly covered the $40,000 a year tuition for Keith to attend the Cordon Bleu Culinary School in San Francisco. He was due to graduate that September. Keith and Tiffany welcomed their daughters in 2012 and 2014. Their home in Hillsborough was staffed with nannies, housekeepers, and landscapers. The couple had their pick of exotic sports cars and SUVs to drive. For over 6 years, their life appeared nearly perfect. On May 3rd, less than 1 week after Keith went missing, Tiffany wrote an email to the Hillsborough Police Department expressing concern over his disappearance. Although she had at first suspected an elaborate scheme put on by her ex-boyfriend to elicit more money from her, she was later accepting of the fact that he was truly in danger.
I guess you're missing or something? Like, can you give me a call back? Like, I don't know if it's like Trump. So give me a call back when you hear this, okay?
Tiffany asked if police could give her information about putting up a billboard to help find him. On the same day that she wrote the email to police, Tiffany also reached out to Keith's mother, Colleen, to express concern. Texting, "Hi Colleen, I know you think Keith's disappearance has something to do with me, and you don't want to talk to me, but I just want to tell you that I'm really worried too." The day after the email was received, she was invited into the station to speak with detectives. The relationship between Tiffany and Keith ended 6 months before his murder. He discovered that she was having an affair with a friend of his, who may have also been his marijuana dealer, a man named Cave Bayat. Once the affair was public, Tiffany moved Cave into the mansion, and Keith moved out. Tensions were understandably very high at that time. Things intensified further as Tiffany and Cave brazenly flaunted their new love, purchasing him a Ferrari to celebrate and designating him daddy to the two girls.
Her first donut, y'all. My daughter doing her donuts.
As Tiffany and Cave continued on with family life, disputes with Keith escalated. Tiffany recorded phone conversations with him, as well as friends who were pulled into the arguments.
He wants Kav killed and just now hang up saying, "I'm gonna kill you"? That's not cool.
So, okay, hold on. So Keith said that. So if I ask Keith right now, he's gonna say yes, right?
Yes.
We'll send you the recording.
Okay, hold on.
In front of you, I'm asking him, okay?
Yeah.
Did you say that you're gonna have Cav killed? Talk to Issa? Okay, but why? Okay, but why?
Their phone calls included insults and threats. Many of the conversations centered around money. Keith was finding it difficult to make ends meet as a culinary student in San Francisco. He was asking for regular funds from Tiffany to maintain his standard of living. At one point, in desperation, he suggested that his only option may be to move to Ohio, where his grandmother had a rental property. Of course, he did not wish to leave his girls.
It sucks. I don't want to leave the kids, but I don't know what to do. I've been so stressed trying to figure this out, and it's been really, really bad.
I'm saying to you, we both made mistakes, and that's that. Let's just move on. There's nothing I can say right now.
It's very easy for you to sit here and say whatever you want to say because your life has not changed at all. The only thing that's different is that you have a new man that you sleep next to at night. That's it.
I'm very happy. Aren't you happy that I'm happy? I thought if you care about me, you would think that I'm happy.
Text messages then showed that Keith was seeking a more stable arrangement in California. He suggested that Tiffany provide him with the new BMW she had purchased, $20,000 for furniture, and $4,000 a month going forward. He wanted to create a life that is parallel to yours with the kids, he said. She claims to have then offered him $4,000 a month, $20,000 up front, and a Range Rover. But neither she nor Cave were pleased by the negotiation. In an exchange that took place just weeks before Keith went missing, investigators believed they may have found the moment that Tiffany and her new lover agreed to have Keith Green killed. "He was trying to work you for money again," Cave wrote. "What a little snake. That's all he wants. It's not about the kids." Tiffany agreed, responding, "Okay, green light." Tiffany told investigators about the ongoing discussions with Keith over money.
Beginning, when we first broke off, he asked each kid $20 million. He asked my mom for each kid. And my mom said, "You're ridiculous."
Would you harm Keith?
No, I will not harm Keith.
Would you have anybody else harm Keith?
No, I will not do that.
Keith's cell phone had already provided investigators with insights into his
What's
movements
good, brother
on the
man?
night
Losing
he
service for a
disappeared.
second. Yo, J-Ski, what's
Between
up, baby?
9:27 and 9:56, it connected to cell towers near to the Millbrae Pancake House, where he was with Tiffany. At 10:49 and 10:56, however, it had traveled towards Hillsborough. These cell tower connections mirrored the movements that Tiffany's Mercedes took after leaving the Pancake House. Video surveillance from the intersection of El Camino Real and Millbrae Avenue captured at approximately 10:15 a gray Mercedes G63 traveling southbound.
He was in the car with you, Tiffany, because it's following your same path.
He was not in the car with me.
So how did his phone stay in your car without him?
That's why I'm like, when you're telling me, I'm hearing it for the first time. I'm like, he was not in the car with me.
Tiffany remained
You look like that
insistent
one guy. I
Keith
am
was
him,
not
T,
in the
man.
vehicle
What you
with
talking
her
about? That
night.
one guy. I am
Though
him.
at 10:51 p.m.,
What you
his
mean?
phone connected briefly for just 26 seconds automatically to the Wi-Fi inside her Hillsborough mansion. The phone had to have been in close proximity to the router inside Tiffany's home. On the same day that Keith's remains were discovered off the roadside in Geyserville, a SWAT team descended upon Tiffany's mansion, arresting her alongside Kaveh Bayat for murder. But it was not only these two that were implicated in the crime. An arrest had been made by the Hillsborough police quietly the day before. They had taken into custody the personal trainer and sometimes bodyguard for the couple, a man named Olivier Adela. It was information provided by the bodyguard that helped to fill in the missing pieces, making a case for their arrest. Adela claimed that Kaveh and Tiffany approached him about killing Keith months earlier. He told investigators that he had refused to take part and turned down the $50,000 offered to him. But only weeks later, he was thrown into the conspiracy anyway when Tiffany arrived at his apartment building in her SUV
You know that guy,
with
pal?
Keith
I am
dead
Timothy.
in the front seat. Kaveh told him that the time had come to pull his weight. In exchange for everything the couple had done for him, he was to dispose of Keith's body. Frightened by what would happen to him if he did not go along with them, he drove Keith out to a field and left him there. "40-year-old Olivier Adela, who sometimes went by Olivier Brendenstein, was originally from the Ivory Coast. He became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2011. According to his profiles online, Adela had studied abroad in France and spent over 5 years serving in the French Foreign Legion. After moving to the United States, he had some success in mixed martial arts
Yo,
as
Hazy,
an
what's
MMA
up, buddy?
fighter before launching his own limousine company. It was in this capacity that he crossed paths with Tiffany Lee and Kaveh Bayat. In 2015, Kaveh began hiring Adela as a bodyguard for various outings. The next year, they reconnected and made a more permanent arrangement. Tiffany set him and his wife Uta Bredenstein up in an apartment complex on Trousdale Drive, which was owned by her mother, and provided him with approximately $13,000 in cash for expenses. His wife was also reportedly offered a well-paying job at the family company. Adela was offered a further salary to train Kaveh in kickboxing. In late February or early March 2016, their business dealings took a turn. Adela said he was invited to Kaveh's man cave at the Hillsborough home, patted down in case he wore a wire, and told to place his phone on the counter, then asked directly by the couple to get rid of Keith. Adela offered only to scare the crap out of him, but refused to kill him.
Bulbasaur looks
He
mentally
claims
sick.
he was
Bulbasaur's
purchased a
chilling.
burner phone to communicate about the scheme with Kaveh. On the night of Keith's disappearance, Adela followed Tiffany to the Pancake House in his silver Chrysler 300. Contradicting Tiffany's account, he said that Cave texted him around 10 p.m. that both Tiffany and Keith were leaving together in the SUV. He followed behind them in his car. Adela's car is also captured following the Mercedes from the Pancake House back towards Hillsborough. Adela claimed not to have returned to the house where the couple allegedly shot Keith dead in the garage, but rather he went back to his apartment building. In the garage of the mansion, police found a small amount of Keith's blood on the floor. Gunpowder residue was detected on a golf bag, which sat on the garage floor near to the blood stain. Keith's blood was also found on the front passenger side running board of the Mercedes. Blood was found between spaces 34 and 35 in the tenant parking area of the apartment building on Trousdale, where Olivier Adela lived, along with pieces of blue gloves. In the bodyguard's Chrysler, they found traces of Keith's blood in the trunk. Records for Adela's transponder showed the device had crossed the Golden Gate Bridge, headed south around 3:30 a.m. on April 29th. He had thrown Keith's cell phone from the window of the car while driving through the park, before continuing on to find a remote area by the side of the road to leave Keith. He told police that Keith had been stripped down to his socks before making the journey. His clothing was placed in a drawstring gym bag and later disposed of in the apartment complex garbage. They were never recovered, nor was the murder weapon, a 9mm handgun that Adela claimed had been acquired and put to use by Cave Bayet. The plan had been orchestrated by Tiffany Lee.
Bro, she guys got those dead eyes.
Custody, Adela spoke with a local news reporter. He explained the sordid history of the love triangle and how he became, unwillingly, pulled into the murder scheme.
Cave was Keith Green's friend, right?
Yes, he met Tiffany through Keith Green, and he went behind Keith Green, ended up brainwashing Tiffany, take Tiffany from Keith Green, making Tiffany kick Keith Green out of the mansion, moving in, make Keith Green's daughter call him daddy, and him and Tiffany only together for 6 months.
He explained that Cave stated that we want you to kill Keith.
Want you to get rid of Keith Green. I said, what do you mean rid of Keith Green? Cave is the one who was talking, he wants you to pretty much kill Keith Green.
He spoke with Cave while watching Tiffany and Keith discuss the children. Then he went home, only to be surprised later when Tiffany arrived at his building with Keith dead in the front seat.
So they pull up the car, the Cave was on the back seat, Tiffany was on the front seat, and Keith Green was on the front seat. Keith Green was dead.
Some Pop Rocks and some Gorilla Glue Skittles. Yeah, that sounds fire.
Tiffany Lee made national headlines after she managed to come up with a record-setting $35 million bond. In order to do so, she posted nearly $4 million posting equity in property, totaling double the outstanding amount. In order to use real estate towards bond in California, the value of the properties posted must be at least double the cash requirement. Nearly $70 million secured Tiffany's release. Co-defendants Cave Bayet and Olivier Adela remained in custody.
From the beginning of the case, the investigation by the sheriff's office has provided to us that she comes from a family that has many hundreds of millions of dollars available to them.
The property was actually put up by 15 to 20 extended family, friends, business associates, people that believe in Tiffany and think she, one, come to court, and two, is not guilty.
Excuse me?
Adela sought a deal in exchange for his testimony implicating the couple. San Mateo district attorneys were weighing their options for which defendants would stand trial for the 187 charge for murder.
187.
I know he has made multiple comments about he would like to make a deal with us and plea to some lesser charge than a 187 in exchange for truthful testimony against defendants Lee and Bayet. We have not reached any decision or conclusion as to whether or not we are going to work with him. As it stands, all 3 defendants are still facing murder charges, and we are set for trial against all 3 of them at this time, January 16th.
While the
And
trial
then the
date
next day,
approached,
well,
new
deal's been
information
reached.
was emerging, bringing into question the credibility of Olivier Adela. To start, defense attorney Jeff Carr presented the results of a polygraph test, which showed that Adela was untruthful when asked about the shooting of Keith Green.
Did you shoot Keith Green? He answered no. His reactions were consistent with someone being deceptive regarding that issue. If you were to see the evidence that we've been able to see of what exactly they have against Mr. Adela, average person would say it's much more likely Mr. Adela did this killing than Tiffany Lee. There seems to be more evidence consistent with it being a failed kidnap than it being a murder, and that something went wrong.
Tiffany's attorneys argued that taken as a whole, the evidence pointed to the likelihood that Keith was killed during a botched kidnapping, one undertaken by Adela and perhaps one or two accomplices. In support of this theory, they pointed to a box with over $30,000 in cash found in his apartment alongside an expensive watch that was once owned by Keith Green.
Mr. Adela and potentially Confederates were seeking a gun. They ultimately may have gotten one, and they may have been involved in a kidnap attempt of Mr. Green.
Despite the points raised by Tiffany Lee's defense, the district attorney's office made a deal with Olivier Adela in February 2018. The murder charge against him would be dropped in exchange for truthful testimony against Tiffany Lee and Kabe Bayat. Two and a half years passed, and the date to begin jury selection was still pending. A further delay was announced in the spring of 2019 when it was confirmed that Tiffany Lee needed to undergo treatment for breast cancer. At that stage, Olivier Adela's attorneys successfully argued for his release with time served. He was released, then promptly rearrested by U.S. Diplomatic Security Service agents. He faced charges of making false statements on his passport application. It seems that Olivier Adela is not, in fact, his real name. And much of the man's past was fraudulent. Agents found that Adela moved from the Ivory Coast to France, where he used a phony French passport in the name of Adela to come to the United States in 2002. Once he arrived, he successfully applied for a U.S. passport under the same name and stated that he was born a French citizen. He married shortly after arriving in the United States. Though his first wife had discovered that he had lied about his past, she also warned that he was violent. She claimed that they never formally divorced.
I am his wife. I've been married to him since 2005. I've been literally in hiding from him for, since we've split up. Because he threatened to kill my family and myself. He does not have a degree in anything. Nothing. None of that is true. But I've never seen any paper. I've never seen any certificate.
Who's the real Olivier Adela?
Mustafa Traore is a con artist, and he's a mean person. I just hope justice is served for Mr. Green and his daughters and their whole family.
They have the wrong people on trial. Who they should be pursuing is Mr. Olivier Adela. And that's been clear from day one, but how they're pursuing him will be up to the DA's office. But that it was perhaps a kidnap gone awry. Obviously, this man was in a trunk that had the emergency latch release removed, among other things.
Which is exactly what the police first thought, and held with that view until Mr. Adela started giving him a fairy tale that now has come to its inglorious end by Mr. Adela being arrested as a liar.
Olivier Adela, or Mustafa Traore, was sentenced to a further 6 months for passport fraud. Even as opening statements were due to commence in the trial of Lee and Bayat, the surprises from Adela, or Mustafa, continued. Twice there would be accusations of witness tampering connected to the MMA fighter. First, while in custody, he claimed that a fellow inmate was approached and offered money to lie, stating that Adela had admitted to committing the murder alone. When Adela caught wind of this scheme, he told his attorney.
He tells me that there's an inmate on his side of the jail who has told him that Mr. Bayat has offered him money to testify that Adela says that he actually killed Mr. Green and that Adela's wife was involved.
Prosecutors looked into these accusations but could not substantiate them, so no action
We're a
was
quarter
taken.
of the way to
They did not believe that
100,000.
Adela had made up the story, however, because lying to authorities would void his plea agreement. The second instance of witness tampering could not be dismissed as easily. As a condition of his release, Adela was to refrain from use of social media and contact with others involved in the case. But it emerged that he had made attempts to contact a witness set to testify for the defense, an ex-girlfriend of his. It was speculated that he wanted to know exactly what she planned to say about him. The result was not the full disintegration of his plea deal, but a decision by the district attorney's office not to put him on the stand. There were simply too many ways to attack his credibility and impeach his testimony.
It has taken twists and turns, and I dare say I think there are going to be more twists and turns in this road. We have lost our trust in the validity of his testimony.
It turns the case into an entirely different animal. You know, you work for 3 years and a case has a particular posture with a lead witness for the prosecution, and now all of a sudden he's gone. That changes everything.
When the trial finally commenced, both Tiffany Lee and Kaveh Bayat were tried together. District Attorney Steve Wagstaff felt confident in the state's case despite the last-minute loss of their key witness.
The case is based in part on Mr. Adela. I know Mr. Carr believes that it's based entirely on Mr. Adela. I don't concur with that view of the evidence, and well, again, we'll have 12 people decide it for us.
The case went to trial in September 2019. Despite the prosecution's assertion that the murder took place in the garage of the Hillsborough home, no bullet marks or shell casings were found, only what defense experts categorized as an insignificant amount of gunshot residue. GSR experts testified that the amount found on the golf bag was inconsistent with a firearm being discharged. Adela asserted that Keith was already dead from a gunshot wound and bleeding in the Mercedes when Tiffany arrived at his apartment. But no blood or DNA evidence matching his was ever found inside of the car. After 2 separate and thorough searches, only 1 small droplet of Keith's blood was found on the outside of the Mercedes, on the right exterior passenger running board. At trial, defense attorneys explained that it was a vehicle that Keith had been in the proximity of many times in the past. A droplet of blood could be explained away by innocent means. The cell phone tracking that placed Keith with Tiffany was potentially countered by surveillance showing Adela's car closely following. Keith could have already been placed alive in the trunk of the Chrysler at that time. That his cell phone connected briefly to the house Wi-Fi proved only that the phone had likely been in proximity to the router, perhaps having been driven past the house.
There is very important circumstantial evidence that can be as strong as direct evidence that Mr. Green may have been placed in the trunk of that Chrysler vehicle that took him up to dump him off in Hillsborough alive.
A friend of Tiffany's testified that on the night Keith disappeared, she had dinner with her at the Cheesecake Factory at about 6 or 6:30 p.m. Tiffany told her that she was going to meet Keith later that night. The friend said that Tiffany called her again at about 10 p.m. that night and recounted what had occurred at her meeting. She told her friend that Keith wanted to get back together with her and told her that Kaveh was not good for her and he had tried to kiss her. She left him at the Pancake House. This was the same story she had told police. The case against Kaveh Bayat was also linked to the theory of the crime outlined by Adela. The murder weapon that had been allegedly acquired by Kaveh was never identified. The burner phones used to coordinate the murder, never found. Prosecutors pointed to a pair of Keith's shoes, which they said he wore to the Pancake House, that were found displayed on a shelf in Kaveh's man cave in Hillsborough, but it certainly was not a smoking gun. When the jury first returned, they had reached a verdict for only one of the 2 defendants.
Last hour, we spotted a 31-year-old Tiffany Lee running out of the Redwood City Courthouse right here. The real estate heiress has been found not guilty of killing the father of her children. Her family had posted $35 million bail to keep her out of prison and jail.
Tiffany Lee was immediately released and free to leave the country, which she did.
She orchestrated all of this. I knew her for 6 years. She was evil. She was evil to me. She was evil to my son. She was just evil.
The jury took longer to return its decision regarding Kaveh Bayat, and ultimately, they were unable to come to a consensus. A mistrial was declared. 5 weeks later, prosecutors announced that they would not be seeking a retrial against Kaveh. They did not believe that a guilty verdict could be reached by another jury using the same evidence presented in the
Might
first
be
trial.
best to use the
After
time
3
here
years
to
in
do that.
custody, he too was released.
Can you tell us what you're feeling right now? Really feeling
Happy. The question was today for Mr. Bayat, will we retry him? Did I feel there was something could occur differently in another trial? And I have concluded the answer to that was no.
Mr. Bayat was never guilty of the crime, so it's the right decision.
I felt the evidence was sufficient to prove that the two of them were responsible for Green's death. A jury told us otherwise, and that's how our system works. As of today, there will be nobody held accountable for Keith Green's murder. The evidence ultimately was not enough.
Evidence was ultimately not enough.
so hard.
That's
and
crazy.
I now have to rely on
That chick's never
what
coming back to
Connie
the stage,
relies on,
tell you
which
that.
is karma and the fact that these people have to live
She's
with
staying
what
in
they
fucking...
When he was finally released, Olivier Adela Brendenstein, or Mustafa Traore, spoke to the media about his request to travel to Las Vegas to compete in an MMA fight where he claimed he could have earned up to $250,000. His request was outside the conditions of his release. It had been refused. Adela was happy to discuss his fighting career, but not his role in the murder of Keith Green.
I'm 43 years old. And there's still a market for MMA fighters who are 43? Yeah, because it's commercial. You got to be able to commercialize. You got to be able to sell the fight. I'm still in great shape, 15 to 2,500 push-up a day.
You allowed people, Keith Green's friends and family, to search for him for days upon days, and you knew where he was and what happened, right?
Yeah, I think we have to go now then.
Why not go to the police beforehand, before Keith Green
We
died?
can't talk about it again. No, I will stop you right there. You know I can't talk about that.
Well,
so.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, now you know.
Keith Green's mother, Colleen Cudd, on behalf of herself and her 2 granddaughters, filed a wrongful death suit against Tiffany Lee. A settlement was reached in early 2023. Tiffany, who had relocated with her daughters to China, blamed xenophobia, Asian hate, and falsehoods publicized against her for her treatment in the media and had argued that the settlement should remain under seal. But a year later, a judge ruled that the details of the lawsuit could be made public. She had agreed to pay Colleen $100,000 and $5 million each to her 2 daughters. Colleen had stated that she's glad the settlement money ensured that the girls had something for themselves when they turned 18 and that they weren't controlled by their mother. It would also allow them to reach out to her and the rest of the Green family in the future.
The money that was given to the kids was going to go to the kids anyway. This didn't cost the Lee family anything because those kids are in line. They're the only heirs of Tiffany.
She wanted to live her life. She wanted to move on with her private life. She wanted to raise her girls and just
Yeah, that chick
start living.
definitely orchestrated the hit. Damn. Wow. Let's go heal this fucking guy. Heal this fucking Goombaya. Heal that. Oh my goodness, we're just getting so many points, boys. Look at us go.
it's very interesting because what Soto did by signing with the Mets, he got the most money, and God bless him. But what he did was he chose the much more rocky road to get to the World Series. In his own division, he has the Phillies and the Braves. In the Western Division, he's got one of the greatest teams that's ever been put together, a defending world champion Dodger team, and the Padres, who are not going away. That's 4 teams they have to get through to get to the World Series. As Don said, the Yankees are better than the Red Sox. They're better than the Blue Jays. They're better than Tampa Bay. Right now, they're better, I believe, than the Astros. I think they're going to battle Baltimore, but Baltimore still has not earned its pelts.
Nope.
So I think the road to the World Series, if the Yankees do the right thing and get the right people, much more well paved than what Soto has chosen. Soto also had
These salty as fuck Yankee fans. I love it.
Judge behind him. So with the Mets, unless they re-sign Pete, which we don't know, he's going to have Mark Vientos behind him. Now, he's going to have Lindor in front of him, but that's a big difference. He might get 150 walks, where they'd much rather pitch to Mark Vientos. With other teams, and he's on the Yankees, that was a pick-your-poison situation with Judge. One other thing that's out there that has to be reined in a little bit. Well, the Yankees now, because they didn't spend that money, the $760 million that they offered them, well, now they could get 4 players. No, they can't. No, they can. Don't think 760. 760 was over 16 years. So they offered him essentially $47.5 million a year. That's what they have to spend. Have you seen the market? You think that's getting you 3 players? You think that's getting you 4 players?
Not three good players.
No, well, I mean, if they go and they want Max Fried, right?
Okay, how much Max Fried?
$27 million probably, 25 to $27 million a year. It's going to be over $200 million contract. Walker might not be that expensive. Santander's going to be a lot of money. Bregman's going to be a lot of money. He's already turning down $155 million from the Astros, and I don't think the Yankees like him. Over 7 years.
Over 7.
So you're not getting 4 players for what you offered Soto. You're just not.
You could get 2 very good players.
You could get 2 very good, and then you could also say, even if they signed Soto, they probably had another $20 million to fill other spots. So let's give them $65 million they have to spend. That's not 4 great players. No. It's just not. So they've got to get creative. They've got to get creative with trades. And
3 great players, though.
Soto makes the Mets so much better. But the Mets have a lot of holes. I mean, you like their pitching staff right now?
No.
You like their lineup right now? I mean, you've got a guy in center field, Siri, who's a 175 hitter.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that they have to do.
That's not saying much when you're looking at the Yankees,
team,
bud.
But knowing Steve Cohen, he's got the money to spend.
But this isn't the days of, because the Wilpons spent money back in the day. But when they did get a big-name free agent, it came at the expense of other places. The whole idea of having Steve Cohen is they can still address the starting rotation. They could still go out and get a third baseman if they want, move Vientos to first base if they lose Alonso. They don't have to have Beatty at third base. Maybe they sign Bregman.
Maybe they get Arenado.
Maybe they get Arenado. So they'll do something. Maybe they bring back Alonso. Maybe that's a decision that they make. So I don't think they're going to have to go discount rack to be able to support Soto. I think now they probably feel like they want to double down even more and make sure that Soto has the best chance to win, because you're right, the Braves are good, the Phillies are good, Dodgers are good, Padres are good. There's a lot of landmines in the National League, Michael, but with Soto, you feel like you now might be able to dance with those teams. After all, they beat the Brewers and the Phillies and won 2 games against the Dodgers, so they feel like even without Soto, the way they were presently constituted, that they can dance. And now with Soto and some more money to spend, and with a pretty good farm system from the deals that they made with Scherzer and Verlander, that they've set themselves up. But again, don't be delusional to think that had anything to do with Soto's decision. It had all to do with the fact that the Mets spent the most money.
It's so odd too. I mean, on social media, George would never have allowed this to happen. So Joel Sherman had a great column in the Post today. George never had to deal with Steve Cohen. Never had to deal with Guggenheim.
He was Steve Cohen.
He was Steve Cohen. Never had to deal with Guggenheim Partners, ever. The landscape has changed completely. I thought that Hal Steinbrenner stepped up as much as he would feel comfortable with, and probably much more than he felt comfortable with. Much more. So that's one thing. And the other thing, the outrage that Yankee fans are showing towards Soto. How dare he leave the... Are you guys out of your mind? I love well, if it was me. If it was you, you'd leave $70 million on the table.
It's like you start dating a girl, right?
Right.
And you meet, and she's...
It's you leave
she's so
70
hot.
mil on the table.
She's so
Exactly.
cool. But she tells you off top, I want you to know, I'm just looking for a good time, and to me, a good time is whoever can present me the best time. That's all I want. I want to go on yachts. I want to go to parties. I think you're cool. I'll hang with you for... Just so you know, though, if someone else comes along and has a better yacht and a better plane, I'm just telling you, I'm going to go. Do you want to play with me or not? The Yankees said, yes, of course we want to play with you. The season ended. He got offered the better plane and the better yacht and the better jet, and he left. He told you exactly who he was when he got here. He never gave one interview. There was never a sentence where Soto made you think that there was an emotional tie here. He made it very businesslike the whole time.
And then after, just an excruciatingly painful loss in Game 5 of the World Series, he said the Yankees have no advantage. They're the same as all 30. But you people out there, you didn't want to believe that. You thought the allure of the Yankee legacy, Mantle and Maris and this and that and Ruth and that was going to affect this guy. You know what affected? It affected Aaron Judge. Because Aaron Judge came up through the Yankee system, and he left a lot of money on the table. He signed for $360, and he was offered $415 by the Padres. And he turned it down because it meant something to him. Because sometimes, you've always said a version of this, sometimes you have to believe somebody when they tell you who they are. And I'm saying he's a bad guy.
No.
He's a businessman. He is a businessman. This was all about money, always was. The Yankee tradition had nothing to do with it. The love affair with the bleacher creatures, nothing. Nothing. It meant nothing to him. The dollar sign did. Here's the question I have to ask you. They go back to the Yankees and will you match? Let's say the Yankees matched. And Cohen said, I'm good. We both have equal offers. Where does he go?
He probably goes to the Yankees.
Probably with the Judge factor.
I would think with the Judge factor. Then if all things being equal, then maybe he weighs the path to the World Series, getting to bat behind Judge, all the things that come with it, the roll call and all that. But if it's going to the highest bidder, it would never come to that. Go back to the Mets, see if you can get more. And I think the Mets probably made it very clear. Whatever you offer, we're going to offer more. That's why we never believed that report that ended up being bogus anyway about the Yankees would have the right to match. Why would you give the Yankees the right to match and then not go back and then play it up even more?
But if what Martino is saying, he did ask the Yankees to match. He did go back to them. But that doesn't mean that Cohen would be done.
But the way that it was said is that to make the final offer. The misunderstanding from the Feinstein report that the Yankees would have the final call, like almost the right of first refusal, that was never going to be the case because you want to drive the price up. I'm sure they went back to the Yankees for the purpose of driving the money to the Met money and then having the Met get it even higher. So, hey, Peter said it very well. He never, ever came close to giving you any indication it was going to be about anything else but the money. And we thought he was a stone-cold killer after the World Series, acting the way that he did. So really, it's on you. If you built up in your own mind that he should have been a Yankee because you love the Yankees and the Yankees are the bigger team, the better team, the easier path to the World Series, you built that
These guys
up in
are so
your mind.
salty. It's funny.
He never gave you that indication at
Nice
all.
win, Sean.
That it was anything other than I'm going to the highest bidder.
That's why this time more than any other time, the burning of the jerseys, which I've seen, the screaming hysterically outside of Citi Field, which I've seen, guys, not for a second did he make you think this was emotional.
Right. He didn't okey-doke you.
Not a little bit. He was so honest. You can't get mad at someone. Michael, if someone tells you exactly who they are and they break up with you for something they told you they'd break up with you for.
Can't be mad.
You can be mad at yourself because you fell in love. So be mad at yourself because you fell in love. The time to fall in love with Soto would have been if he signed after. You had to know this was a rental. We all knew that it was.
And the Yankees got what they wanted. They got back to the World Series for the first time since 2009. They ended up losing, but he paid off his end of the bargain.
100%.
The Yankees gave up 5 really good players to get him. I get it. And you know what? For that 1 year, he was worth everything they gave up. Now they've got to reconnoiter. They've got to pivot. They've got to come up with a good plan B. The last time this happened to them, when they lost Cano, their pivot was awful. Awful. They got nothing out of it. Ellsbury was just the one of the worst signings of all time. Brian McCann was a nice player. Really didn't do anything. All of the money they spent was wasted. So I'm telling y'all, when he was in right field, and he used to like really milk the bleacher creatures, he's just thinking about the money. You know, like he was even asked that. Well, what does that mean to you? Well, it should mean something to the owner of the team. When he looked out to left center field, when Judge looks out that left center field, he envisions number 99 on that wall.
Yes.
And he envisions a plaque in Monument Park. I don't think Soto ever thought of that. It never even came into his mind.
If you want to be mad at him because he's all about the money, I guess I can understand that. That maybe somebody that only cares about the money is someone that maybe you wouldn't agree with. But I think the only reason to really be mad at him is if he teased you, gave you an indication that he was going to come back and then really didn't. But I think he played it the way I think everybody logically looked at it. If you took emotion out of it, guys, this is where I think everybody believed he was going to go. This is the reason Steve Cohen bought the Mets. This is the reason why the Mets weren't aggressive in free agency last year. They were not going to be denied. And I think the Yankees, as mad as you might be at them for not matching the offer, get mad at them if they screw up this money they now have to use. If they go and make the mistakes like they did after Cano, signing Ellsbury, Michael, then I think you have a legitimate reason to be mad. But right now, if I'm a Yankee fan, I'm anxious to see what Cashman does.
We're talking with our friend Jeff Passan. Well, let's talk about what the Yankees' pivot is. The last time they had a pivot after losing a free agent was Cano, and the pivot was awful. Actually set them back. So what do you think this pivot is?
I'm so curious to see what it looks like and where they take these resources because, you know, one thing that was really good about the Yankees last year for the vast majority of the season was their starting pitching. And the strength of this market at this point is starting pitching. Where among Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Walker Buehler, the top-end guys who are going to, especially with Burns and Fried, cost a lot of money. Burns is going to be 200 plus. Fried at this point, I think probably gets into that range. And so, I think the Yankees going out and getting one of them to pair with Garrett Cole would be a frightening thing for the rest of the American League East. The bats, though, where the Yankees are right now offensively is a little bit scary because you guys remember what the end of the 2023 season looked like when Aaron Judge was the only one hitting. And you remember what the postseason 2024 looked like when Juan Soto was sort of the only one hitting, especially in the World Series. And Gleyber Torres, another of those who was hitting in the ALCS, all of a sudden wasn't hitting in the World Series anymore. So what does the Yankees lineup look like? Do they go and try to get Alex Bregman? Do they try to trade for Nolan Arenado? Do they trade for Cody Bellinger? Do they consider Pete Alonso, Christian Walker? They've got money. They've got moves to make, but they have to be canny about how they approach this. And I do think one thing to keep in mind, the Yankees don't have $760 million to go out and spend on the free agent market right now.
I'm glad you said that. Everybody thinks that they're going to spend that. It's not. They have like $50 million to spend.
The 760 was over 16 years. It was $50 million. Theoretically, they could go out and spend some more. But if they're in the market for one of those big ticket pitchers, and really they're limited, Michael, to that $50 million and don't want to stretch beyond that. Now, I do not know the number that they have or that in their minds they want to spend in free agency. But, man, going out and redistributing that money and improving this team is imperative because you are losing one of the best players in baseball, someone who himself individually is irreplaceable, but the opportunity to go out and use that money and fill those holes in very intelligent, calculated ways leaves the Yankees the ability, I think, to not just to be where they are, but to actually improve this team if they do it the right way.
Let's actually do this. We're going to go over here, grab two of
from
these.
Brian Cashman, and it is going to take support from Hal Steinbrenner. The Yankees are disappointed, and understandably so, but this is not the end of the world, Yankees fans. I know you were burning your jerseys last night. I know you were getting angry, throwing F-bombs, talking about how ugly Queens is, doing all those things. Sometimes, and maybe this is going to come back to bite me,
Queens, man.
The deal you make is the one you don't. And
Fuck
if
Queens.
the Yankees play this thing right, I think not in the next year, not 3 years down the road, not even maybe 5 years.
$30,000 points. Let's fucking do it, baby. Took you a hot minute to get that 40 miller back. Yeah, I bet.
This is how AI optimizes my schedule. This got canceled. Hooray! We didn't really.
All right now. I knew if I did not take out his soul, he was coming to take mine next. He died.
On the night of February 2nd, 2013, officers with the Lancaster Police Department respond to a call informing them that a suspect who committed a horrendous act was sitting in a stolen truck just outside his residence. Despite their efforts to coax him out of the truck, he suddenly takes off, leading police on a dangerous high-speed chase. As the suspect turns a corner, he can be seen jumping the curb and driving at dangerous speeds down a residential sidewalk. However, this is still only the beginning of the strange turns and bizarre events this case is going to expose.
We're going to Midlothian here. What?
On the service road, northbound on the service road.
The events leading up to this moment began hours ago when an emergency call was placed to Somerville County dispatchers.
911, where's your emergency?
Yes, ma'am. I need an ambulance out to Rough Creek Lodge and Resort.
Okay, Rough Creek Lodge. And what's going on?
I just had a report of two unconscious men out at my long-range shooting range.
Deputies arrived to find two deceased men with multiple gunshot wounds, lying near a scattering of shell casings. The suspect had fled the scene in a truck belonging to one of the victims, and his identity is unknown. The Texas Rangers are called to investigate and informed that one of the victims is a widely known public figure. Immediately, news of his death begins to spread like wildfire. The suspect would soon be identified, as his sister would call 911 to say her brother, 25-year-old Eddie Ray Routh, came to her home and confessed to the killings before fleeing once again. She then called her mother, Jody, who contacted Detective Chevra, Eddie's next-door neighbor and friend. Upon learning Eddie was involved, he races to his home to search for him. It isn't long before he pulls up to the home in the stolen truck with no intention of surrendering.
Watch it. He's got a rifle. Careful.
Hey, fucking be great. Got a lot on him. Huh? Back it up. Back it up. Hey, he got the gun. It's done. Got a lot on him. Give me a lot on him. Give me a lot right on him.
In a situation that is only going to grow more tense, officers don't know yet that they've barely scratched the surface of this sinister case and its peculiar suspect.
Watch it. See.
Eddie! Eddie! Eddie!
Turn it off, Eddie!
Turn it off, Eddie!
Turn it off!
Eddie!
Eddie! Turn it off, please!
Eddie!
Eddie! It's Sergeant Logan!
Turn off the truck, guys. Come talk to you.
Come on with your hands open, buddy. It's not worth it.
Eddie!
Tires. Eddie! Don't get him beside it. Eddie! Eddie, don't go no
I'm gonna shoot out his tires. What a fucking moron. You can tell this in the South.
Come on, guy. Eddie! Come talk to me. Come on out, Eddie! Come talk to us! Eddie, come talk to us! Come on, Eddie!
The officers appear on edge, knowing there are firearms inside the truck. Given his friendship with the suspect, officers quickly call on Detective Chevra to step in, seemingly hopeful that he may be able to de-escalate this outlandish situation.
Keep your hands right there, man. Hey, let TT talk. Let Jesse talk to you. Jesse, come here. Jesse gonna talk to you. Eddie.
Eddie.
All right, look, guys. I know this looks really bad right now, but we're all scared here too. Hey, do me a favor. If you can hear me clearly, just shut the truck off for a minute. Nobody talk to me, okay? Turn it off for a minute. Turn it off for a second. Turn it off and talk to me, okay? We're trying to figure it out right now, okay? We're trying to figure it out right now. So right now, the best thing for everybody is you step out of the truck with your hands open so we can see, everybody can relax, okay? Now, I want you to open the door very slowly and come out with your hands straight up and come talk to me, okay? No, I need trust anymore, Jeff. Eddie, I don't want to hurt you, Eddie. Okay? We all grew up together here. Listen to me, buddy. Okay? This is going to be bad for everybody if you don't do as I asked you. Trust me, because your parents are going to get really hurt if we don't get this thing resolved peaceably, okay?
Detective Chevra continues pleading with Eddie, but his paranoid behavior seemingly has the other officers on high alert.
Throw me the keys out here as a gesture that you're not going to run off while I try to get them down here, make this trip, try to get down here, okay?
Get somebody to get a car around and get ready to block him. You hear me?
No, because
get somebody to get around there and fucking block him if he goes take off.
Okay.
Let
me ask you. Somebody get the car around here and block it.
No, don't block it yet.
Where, what's
get
up?
ready to block.
Okay,
Get ready to block.
Find that out together. Okay. You have no reason not to trust me here. Okay. What are you talking about? There's no trust in this world anymore. Uh-huh. It went down so fast, I didn't really even have a chance to realize what was happening. And now I just don't even know if I can trust doctors, cops. I don't know. Well, the people. I tried to talk to my sister today, and it was weird talking to them. I tried to talk to my uncle later this afternoon. It was weird talking to him.
After fleeing the crime scene, Eddie made multiple stops, details of which remain unknown for now. During the standoff, his seemingly unstable state of mind becomes increasingly evident.
Is this about like hell walking on Earth right now? I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I've been doing good, bro. Been a couple days. I haven't streamed in like 4 or 5 days or something like that.
Well, what I'm trying to tell you is that I'll walk over here to your house or your front yard, and my hands will be open and your hands will be open, and we can talk about this, and we can call your mom and dad on my phone, and you can tell them that
It's
you need
starting
to
to become that time, you know? It is end time, boys.
While it appears Detective Chevra remains hopeful he can reason with Eddie, other officers consider a riskier
We're in the end
approach.
game now.
Yes, and if I guarantee you that.
Okay, you roll the window down, and I'll hold the light on him if his knees up right through there.
Okay, yes, you're right.
Tase his ass.
But if I get your parents on the phone and get them to come down here and get here in 2 or 3 hours, will you come with me and wait with you till they get there?
The two victims, who were close friends, were identified as 35-year-old Chad Littlefield and 38-year-old Chris Kyle, author of the best-selling memoir American Sniper. Chris had recently gained national attention due to the upcoming film adaptation of his book. Eddie's horrifying reasons for turning on them remain to be seen. For now, the focus shifts to de-escalating the baffling situation officers have found themselves in with Eddie, though their presence only seems to heighten Eddie's
As long as we
paranoia.
boys and see shit, we good. I feel that. I feel that.
He's been killing the world. I'm going to call your parents, okay? But if they're going to agree to come down, are you listening to me?
See here.
I don't know what's going on. Give me a second, okay? Okay, but here. Okay, but no, hear me out, okay? We need to see your hands, okay? We need to see that you are at peace and we can relax. What could help it? We can turn the light off if you'll do this. If you drop that window over and put your hands on the steering wheel, and then we can drop the light so we can kind of not put it in your eyes, okay?
I can't drop the window because then y'all win.
How do we win, Eddie?
If I drop the window up far enough, y'all are going to take me out of this truck.
No, Eddie, no. I'm not going to walk up there and yank you out of the truck and not as anybody else either, okay?
I'm cranking it.
Eddie, don't do that. Let me call your parents.
We'll call them and get them on the phone and get them down
Okay.
You think he's going to roll the window down with the taser?
I'm going to call, okay?
With the possibility that his parents may be able to calm him down, Detective Chevra gets Eddie's mother, Jody, on the phone.
Eddie, I'm going to tell her what we talked about, okay? Hey, Jody?
I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Eddie doesn't know what's going on. We don't know exactly what's going on either, but here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get Eddie to come out of the truck.
You didn't need to delete that script.
But here's the deal. Eddie said he will come out of the truck. If you guarantee you'll come down tonight, he wants to see y'all. I'm trying to talk to him into coming with me, be safe and secure till you get here so you don't have to rush and be worried about him, something happening. Because you can't tell what's going on here over the phone.
I can't trust that, Mom.
Do you want to talk to Daddy?
Yeah, I don't even know if I can trust him or not.
Eddie, have I ever given you a reason not to trust me in anything?
Yes.
When?
These past couple of days, it's going to get so crazy around here, I don't know what to do.
Whatever the situation, I'm not going to guide you wrong. Okay? I'm not going to do that, Eddie. Only thing we can do at this point is go forward and go up with the situation up in a way that's going to be best for you, for your parents, me, everybody around us.
His dog.
And big dog?
Yeah.
Despite the combined efforts of Jody and Detective Chevra, Eddie still refuses to leave the truck. He's clearly on edge, and it won't be long before his paranoia will reach a breaking point.
Y'all have any
Where you been, bro? What's the end game? Like the end of the channel, bro.
We have to. It's our job.
I do too. It's my job.
Okay. Well, that's a good possibility you do, but
We're
we
in
don't
the end
want to show our
times, you
guns,
know?
You don't want to show yours.
We don't need that.
No, we don't. There you go. See, we agree on the same thing.
Well, if that's not a problem, then I'm not
Where have I been? Just chilling, man. Just living life.
Eddie, don't do that, Eddie.
I can't keep sitting here watching these cats scurry by and they're moving all around me that I don't even know about.
Eddie, don't crank that truck up because I know you probably want to go to your house, but I'm worried that before you get to your house, you will make a decision and keep going. And we don't want to do that, Eddie.
A sudden movement by Eddie sets the surrounding officers on high alert.
Tell him he'll walk to the house. Hey.
Eddie, what's that? You got a phone?
Yes, sir.
Tell him you'll walk to the house with him.
He's on the phone with somebody. He's on the phone with somebody.
Looks like he answered it.
Right.
Do you think that door's locked?
Right.
Yeah, he lost it.
He's on the phone.
He reached up and lost it.
He has a phone now.
Though the officers were unaware at the time, the cell phone Eddie answered did not belong to him. On the other end of the line was a man named Chet, attempting to reach one of the victims, Chad Littlefield. In a later interview, Chet explains the chilling encounter.
I picked up the phone and called Chad. Immediately he picked up the phone. It was that. First thing, and he knows my name, and I don't know if that's why or. He picked up the phone and I said, Chad, this is Chet. What is going on? Is everything okay? And he answered back, what do you mean what's going on? And I said, I noticed the voice wasn't Chad. And I said, this is not Chad. I said, who is this? And he said, this is Eddie. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, Eddie. I must have their old phone number. And hung up.
And tell me how it is that you know Eddie.
Well, his sister used to babysit my kids.
That's fucking crazy.
His mom and his dad, his mother teaches at my kid's school. And if I would have only known that was Eddie Ralph on the end of the phone that I talked to.
While Chet's connection to Eddie is clear, the relationship between Eddie and the victims, Chad and Chris, remains a mystery. How they ended up together this fateful night and what transpired between them will soon come to light. In the meantime, Eddie has been in the truck for nearly 30 minutes, and the tense situation is moments away from exploding into chaos.
Have you thought of anything that would maybe work this thing out to where we could kind of, me and you go together and then wait for your mom and dad? Excuse me, I got some gas here.
Got some gas here.
Till somebody blocked that car off. Let's turn it. Okay. Well, can you just make sure they don't do me a favor, Eddie. I'm not trying to treat you like a kid, but we want to relax and we don't want to misinterpret something. Just kind of keep your hands up the way you've been doing, and just so we can see and we can all relax a little bit, okay?
First, we need to make sure that he doesn't invite them in his way on the system.
Well, no, because then we can't hear you if you try to call me because it's so loud. This diesel's so loud. If I need you, I'll turn it off and talk to you. Eddie. 5 minutes, Eddie. Okay?
Without warning, Eddie steps on the gas and flees the scene.
You know what's crazy? The one officer had been asking for them to block him in the whole time.
10 minutes
Oh my
later,
God.
the vehicle's tires are damaged from the stop sticks that the officers had placed. The vehicles come to a complete stop immediately after.
It's gonna be all right, Eddie. Okay? Just calm down. I know we don't either, but we're gonna work this thing out. Okay?
Look at the dog staying beside him the whole time, bro. That is like why the dogs are man's best friend. Hands down. That's crazy. That's crazy.
As Eddie is checked for injuries by paramedics, an officer poses an important question.
Eddie, why'd you run? I can't even sleep no doubt. I was raised in, you know.
With Eddie secured in custody, he's brought to the station for an interview. While he awaits questioning, Eddie begins to speak to an officer sitting off camera. His bizarre comments hinting that the following interrogation will be anything but ordinary.
Everybody knows it's the right thing to do this, you know what I mean?
What you say?
The right thing and the wrong things to do in the world.
Yeah.
There is certain things you gotta start doing. I just hope my mom and dad aren't too late, you know? To see it.
They won't be.
Why is this world? Why?
Eddie.
Why didn't we see it coming before?
But you know what? You're asking questions that have already been asked many times. And the world keeps going.
Ranger Briley soon enters, appearing ready to get to the bottom of today's tragedy.
And talk with a little bit this evening. And, you know, you've had a rough time. I have been having a pretty rough time of it, you know. I just want to sit in here and visit with you and talk to you about it and see what I can do. Is there any way I can get these taken off? Back up? I'll have to talk to these guys about doing that. Still trying to find out a lot of stuff, but me too. Let me I'm trying to find out more about the world that I've been living in too.
Ranger Briley next reads Eddie his Miranda rights,
What the
but his
fuck?
response is only the beginning of the unsettling answers that soon follow.
You understand those rights. I go around and talk to people a lot, and I never knew that counseling was more, counseling between men and women needed to be more heavy in the world than it did. But when you're surrounded on all fronts where you begin, you can't just start in one place, Right. You understand those rights, and you're okay with talking with me, right? What? Did you find with that? I've been living with somebody with their hand up my ass my whole life. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not okay with that. That is not right. Somebody doing that to you. It's so sad how it had to happen and stuff, and how it did happen. Yeah. Yeah, it's I just wish it would stop, If there are world councils that can speak about this, there has to be. There has to be, to keep people accountable. Yeah. Right. Evidently, You're right. For stuff like this that you can't walk on common ground with because they never walked on the same ground with you, you know what I mean? Right.
With Eddie making little sense, Ranger Briley appears to formulate an idea for what could possibly explain his odd behavior.
Was there a time today you used any drugs? Yeah, I did use some tobacco today. Yeah, I was kind of looking at your eyes a little bit constricted. I thought maybe you might have used some methamphetamine or something today. I had not. Oh, you had not? I did not. Okay. Have you used? That's why I've been having such a hard time sleeping, because I haven't been taking drugs and I can't sleep at night.
Though Eddie claims that he hasn't consumed substances aside from tobacco, the question was likely posed due to what was uncovered during a search of his residence. Among the items found in his home were a blue jean jacket
Heavy
with
chemicals in the
possible
drinking water.
bloodstains, firearm ammunition,
That's funny.
and a small box
I like
containing
that.
paraphernalia.
Was there a bong, like a drug bong, in some of your stuff? Tobacco.
One of these?
Is that what was in the bong? Is that true or not? I don't know. You have to be truthful with me. If it wasn't, just be truthful. What was in that bong? There's probably some pot in there too, Mm-hmm. A little bit of pot. All right. And what else? Can't trust anything in Texas with weed in it, because it's usually laced up so tight with different drugs. Had you used it today? Yeah. And you're being truthful with me? Yes, sir. I smoked a little bit today. I've got so many abandonment issues and trust issues here that I don't know what to think, Mm-hmm. And I've been having these problems in my town since I was growing up,
Since I growed up.
Boy, I'm trying to fix this. It's wrong in our
You smoked spice?
Right. Evidently, the Communism Party wants to run rampant in America. The communism times are here upon us, Mm-hmm. The Reds are already eating up all the Indians. We know that. Mm-hmm. It's tragedy. Mm-hmm. It's the ones that can't eat the Indians that want them, Mm-hmm. They're going to have problems about.
Well, Easter some
Eddie
shit,
would later
maybe.
admit that he thought his neighbors were bloodthirsty savages and cannibals, and believed that his excrement would travel to his neighbor's home through the sewers, where his neighbor would eat it. As Ranger Briley continues to navigate Eddie's confusing rhetoric, the focus of the conversation shifts to the crime that brought them here in the first place.
I want to talk about what happened. And you can start with when you woke up today. Well, I keep talking to Chris, I keep talking to Chris is in my world, and it seems like every time I talk to another man named Chris, I just get sent to another man named Chris. I think about talking to the wolf, to the one in the sky. The ones in the sky are the ones that fly, you know what I mean? The pigs in the world.
Bro, I can't listen to that shit anymore. That man's fucking delusional. Can't listen to none of that no more. I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind listening to that. $700 mil for Vladdy, and now probably like more like a 400, 300 mil player. Yeah, I used to. Oh, good luck. Look, you kind of want to watch The Sopranos while I do this. Damn. Beam tug. Alright, gotcha. Fucking guy cracks, dude. Oh, this man addicted to this fucking game. Of 40,000 points. That ain't gonna be enough. I might as well just finish. I'm gonna get like 50,000 points and probably just finish it there. I won't have enough time. That's rough. Fixing to do school, blaze my face off, attend my 2 live class chats. Them chats are so fun. Yeah, I give them live chats over to me so I can pop in one day and just troll some motherfuckers, you know what I mean? Make some good content, Sean. come to school where I go shit, be in the same classes. That'd be funny. He rocks. Oh, you gotta go outside probably, eh? Don't you, big boy? Yeah, alright. I'll fucking end it here then. I'm gonna have to kill this boss so I can take my dog outside. Give me a sack rock. Give me a couple minutes, bud. I got you. There we go. 83 rewards from that. Sheesh. Alright, I'll be right back. I gotta go let my dog out. Get going, little man. Get going. Get going. Come on downstairs, little man. Come on. Let's go. Downstairs. Keep going. Go. Outside. Outside. Oh, I'm back. See what we get, I guess, for our rewards. Give me something good. Something good. Pyromancer robe. Pages. Empty Tome of Fire. I got the Tome of Fire before the pet. That's ugly. Hey, it's fucking ugly. Fuck, man. Interesting. Interesting. We got Tome of Fire. How much is that worth? 600k drop. All I'm missing now, the Phoenix and the Dragon Axe. Don't give me the Dragon Axe. Most of 1,000,000 burnt pages. Holy shit. All right, boys. Well, I think I'm gonna end my stream there and go watch some Sopranos. Appreciate y'all for chilling. Hope y'all have a fantastic day.